So they're live. Mics are hot.
Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my god, the overlay.
Stop the potato talk.
Yeah, the overlay didn't finish its last
Sorry.
upload.
What does that mean?
It means we're missing a name from the overlay.
Is it mine?
Missing.
It's
No,
up to
it's Sean's.
Oh,
There we go.
I thought
Now
it
it's
was
fixed.
my baby.
No.
Right, true. Wait, is the
Kobold was
baby
not
on?
invited.
Baby's
She's
not
crashing our
invited.
call.
Just do Anna-Sophie, Ryan, and his kobold, and Sean.
You put the kobold before Sean? Wow. We can see where they prioritize you, friend.
Yeah.
To be fair, I don't think Sean RSVP'd to this chit chat,
No.
which was planned
just
a little
glad-
bit this.
To be
I'm
fair,
just
I don't
glad he showed up.
RSVP to anything.
Sometimes he just shows up at weddings randomly, you know? He'll just show up in a tux and he's like, hello, my name's Sean, I'm here for the wedding. What's up?
It does sound like something to do. I haven't been to a wedding since I was 15, so I can't say on that front, but that does sound like something I would do. But I do that at work all the time. Like I'll send out meeting invites and everybody will like RSVP with like an acceptance or a rejection.
Mhm. It's just more time in your day used to, you know, type around in Teams and write emails and stuff. So
Yeah.
some people really enjoy those. I'm getting at work. I'm getting so many emails that never needed to be emails at all. You know, so there's a lot of people who just like spending time, wasting time, which is understandable. You know, but not everybody gets that luxury, unfortunately, and I'm very jealous. I want to be one of those people. Oh, that would be nice.
Yeah.
Well, I am really glad you showed up though, Sean, because Neal was really worried that he was going to be the third wheel when Ryan and I do the chit chat.
But that is not true. I said you were going to be the third wheel between Ryan and I. You monster. It's fine. It's better. Now there are 4 wheels. The car is stable. It can keep going forward. Even if one of them falls apart. Looking at you, Ryan.
Where does my kobold fit onto this rickshaw?
Well, we need a driver, you know?
Okay.
We need someone that
Oh
propels
my
the
God.
conversation.
Cars don't do too well with 3 wheels, Neil.
But they can. You've gotten a flat on your car
Yeah.
before, and it keeps going. It's kind of awkward, you know?
Aren't there these old like pizza bikes or something? There's like an Italian tiny car, I think, that has 3 wheels, and they like one person fits in them or some shit. I think there's such a thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean that'd be fine if you had a car built around it. The problem is when you lose a wheel, suddenly your balancing is all off, and then your car flips on the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
True. Oh, Neal is fully decked out by now. Look at his background. Very nice. I see at least 2 daggers, 2 swords, 1 shield, and a cat.
Oh man,
Nice.
so much interior
background.
decoration.
Yeah, your place looks really nice. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Well
then
done.
this one over here. Oh, more swords. More
Mhm.
things.
Are those swords or are those daggers? Because size-wise.
There, swords for a halfling, daggers for a human.
Okay. All right. Okay. So
Swords for a
short
gnome.
swords. Short swords.
Really
Gotcha.
short swords. Like
Are
lifted
they
truck
real swords
size
or
short swords.
are they more display swords?
Oh, they're just display swords. They
Okay.
came as like a Christmas present when I was like 16 or something, and they've been sitting in a box for about a decade. And yeah, there they go.
Reminds me of those scenes in comedies when people are trying to grab the next best weapon of somewhere, and they just have the entire rack in their hand because they can't get them out of the wooden part, you know. So you just have to smash the burglar with a wooden plate instead of stabbing them.
Yeah, they're a bit awkward to pull.
I just leave all my swords in random places lying around the apartment, so probably wouldn't be too hard to find one if you needed a weapon in a pinch. Oh wow, that is small.
Yeah, they're actually quite small.
Those
That
are
is
letter
a
openers,
dagger.
right?
It's not even
That's a dagger letter opener.
Yeah, that's a little pocket knife right there.
Yeah,
So that's
I mean,
uh,
I've got
That's
some,
like
I guess a boot
Maya's.
knife maybe.
It's like Maya's hair needle dagger size. That's what I imagine it's like.
They're super cheap, you know, present you get for a 16-year-old kid, but
Yeah,
they're stuck
I've got
around.
some of those little katanas like that. That are
Oh, the little letter opener katanas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And an enormous, absurd bastard sword hanging on the wall, like 10 feet that way.
I don't even have a letter opener, and I don't have a sword either.
I have
There
the
you
letter
go.
openers, but I don't use them. And my wife judges me every time.
These days.
It's usually from like bills or insurance companies or that sort of
Are you putting like your finger in and then you're doing the?
I just tear them apart with claws and teeth. And my wife is like, you have letter openers. What are you doing?
Oh my god.
I technically don't. I use pocket knives,
other one
which
is way
really
cooler.
doesn't feel like the point.
Ooh, look at that.
Here, Eliana. Quick
That's
draw.
Oh,
yours.
yeah.
Oh, that's adorable.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Right.
even.
I'm not gonna. That they sit in.
Oh my! It even has a stand.
So,
Those
of
are
of course it
insanely cool.
does.
Letter opener katanas with a
Yeah.
stand. 2 of them. Oh my
Yeah.
lord.
Well,
Okay.
it's two so that Eliana can dual wield.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, I love it. That is amazing.
You guys are reminding me I've been playing
Okay.
by this Bowie
And
knife.
then Exhibit A. This is how I open my mail.
Oh my god. It's just ripped apart, Chad.
It's just
That's
shredded.
You could have
Absolutely.
lifted that from my apartment, and I would have been none the wiser.
Important information enclosed.
I imagine that's what it's like giving a barbarian finesse weapons, you know. It's like, you know, nice try, but really.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. What did you say, Sean? That reminded you of what?
Oh, we're talking about swords and knives, and that reminded me I was planning to buy a Bowie knife.
For what purpose?
Hey, what?
A Bowie knife.
Purpose.
A knife that David Bowie
like-
used to use?
I don't
No.
think so, Neal, but
No.
thank you. That is an what is it? What? No.
I think there's like a Frontier.
Oh, here it is.
There's a different Bowie.
Yeah,
Or it might
yeah.
even be the original manufacturer or something.
Bowie knife.
Or is that an Australian who wrangled alligators? or
Well, he
something?
also had
Crocs.
one, but Crocodile Dundee used to carry a Bowie knife.
Wait, is it stamped? Oh, that's weird.
How?
Jim
Okay.
Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
Not David Bowie. His lesser known.
James Bowie? Oh, created by James Black for Jim Bowie. Gotcha.
Oh my god, now I have to convert inches into centimeters again.
Fight.
23 inches. That is, wow, is this a knife? It's 58 centimeters.
Yeah.
That sounds like a short
That's not
sword.
a fucking knife, it's a fucking sword, dude.
It's
I think it's a knife.
it's the ultimate multi-tool.
58 centimeters. It's like this. That's not a knife.
Well, that's not the blade length. That's the overall length. That includes the handle.
Yeah, the blade
Yeah.
length
Dude,
is.
even if it's like this, it's still not a knife anymore. Okay? Like, it does
Blade
not
length.
matter.
It's
like
this
12
long.
inches.
Okay, Chad, reach out your hand, 23 inches, and let me know if you think that's a knife or a sword. We need a poll for that. Somebody needs to make us trouble. I think that's clearly a sword. Oh my god, that's way too big. What are you? Okay, do you have specific plans for that, or is that for opening letters, Sean?
Ooh, I mean, opening letters with that would be a lot of fun, but
Sure, if you want to stab yourself accidentally, maybe.
you know, like, is there ever really a reason to buy knives other than to have more knives?
I mean, probably not. That's true.
No.
How many centimeters is that? Oh, we have a person of culture. That is 58.42 centimeters.
That's the whole.
Friend.
That's the whole shebang.
Yes, that is
That's the
the
handle
whole
included.
shebang with the handle. Apparently, that's really important. Let me tell you, in the picture, I could tell the handle is not particularly long.
I mean, like maybe 10 centimeters, maybe 15.
Yeah, it's like a 6-inch handle, at least.
Yeah.
You wouldn't dual wield with it, or sorry, you wouldn't two-hand it.
Dude, offhand it, you know?
Yeah. I think it's more of like a frontiersy multi-tool. Like you can use it.
I
to
imagine
like,
it would probably
good for like chopping and like making lean-tos or
I think
skinning a deer or
any knife.
winning a duel in the Mississippi Sandbar against 3 men or whatever.
frightening your house guests.
I think any knife that has like a guard is not a knife but is a sword. I think that's a fair assumption to make.
That's the breaking point, the handguard.
Yeah.
That's the tiniest handguard.
I think that is. It doesn't matter. Like it's still appropriate for like the handle, is it not? I didn't know I was alone on this knife versus sword front, but apparently people like really big knives. Where I'm from, knives are much smaller.
Americans like big knives.
Mm-hmm.
And Australians, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not a knife.
This is a knife.
Not knife.
Only we knew an Australian who we could ask about it. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, here, I'll message Millman.
What are you gonna ask him? How big his knives are?
How big do you like your knives?
Yep.
Hands of large knives.
Sounds like an
plus
Australian
size.
pickup line. How big do you like your knives, mate?
All right, there we go.
23 inches is the answer to that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so once Millman's probably asleep for, once he finishes his, daily 4 hours of sleep, I'm sure he'll wake up and see that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know how this man is still alive. Well, I don't even know how we made it that far. Oh yeah, we talked about Neal's decorations. Okay.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, I do have the other Dragonlance poster up there because it wouldn't fit behind, but...
Really? What if you moved that one next to the...
Oh, man, I played this game for hours, for days,
Really?
Ryan. Oh, yeah.
Could you just get a tape measure and confirm once and for all? No?
We pulled out a tape measure. We've
And there's not enough
there's
space?
physically room that it could be there, like it could sit
But they would
like
be like
low
edge to
down
edge
here.
or something?
Yeah, because the ground is actually just barely out of frame.
What if there's not enough space for it to be all the way against the Arcadia poster? What if you move
Like
the
if I
Arcadia poster
slammed
over?
them right next to each other
Yeah.
and then moved the Arcadia poster over a little bit so it was out of frame, then they could all sit next to each other, but then it'd just be like frame.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit nicer because it's got
That's
that.
fine. What's
that
the other?
angle
Oh,
as
the other
well.
one is the Death Knights. I feel like the Death Knights should be behind you, but maybe when they slay Scoria, you can swap it out and get rid of that red dragon.
Yeah, just the verticality of the dragon one makes everything fit and frame a little better. It gives it this
Okay.
like sort of angle of art, which is kind of nice.
Did we already talk about that? What is that other poster above the daggers?
This one?
Yeah.
This is.
Chat can't see. You can just use your words. Or
I
can
got
use
this
my words.
from some BlizzCon sort of event. It's like, Artanis and Krob
Artanis?
Hellscream and...
Oh, it is. I was like, that's not Artanis. That's an orc.
Yeah, but
and
I can't remember
Tyrael,
who this guy is.
right?
That Tyrael?
Mal.
Yeah.
That's
Oh no, that's the other.
Garrosh, isn't it?
No, yeah, in the middle, the angel from one of the
Oh.
angels.
That looks like Malthael, though.
yeah.
I'm so
Maybe,
confused.
yeah, I kind of lost.
Yeah, that's the one
touch
from
in the,
Rebrutal. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
I'm
remember much of
pretty
Diablo 3.
sure that's not from WoW. I'm pretty sure that's the
Yeah, the right one is the
Right.
Act 5 Diablo
Yeah.
3 antagonist. I don't remember what their name is.
Maybe it's actually a HOTS poster than Neal ever knew. Oh, he's entangled. So, and the symbol on the shield, is that a common? I feel like I've seen that before and I can't fucking remember what that
the
is from.
Terran
It's the
symbol.
Terran symbol.
Oh, right. I was like, what? Why do you have a shield from that? Oh, no. Why am I even asking?
He made
So
it.
Ryan and I made shields long time ago in Ryan's garage with whatever scrap wood was lying around. And I've at least managed to hold on to mine for
I think mine is still
12 years?
Mine is probably still in that
15
garage. Mine doesn't have. Mine just got like an elephant on it or something.
A Terran and an elephant. That's very
Yeah.
adorable.
And Lauren painted this to make it look nice. So
Oh, you might not even have had anything painted on it initially.
initially, I didn't have anything painted. You had something painted, and then when Lauren and I started dating, I roped her in to do this, and it worked well. Yeah. Hanging the swords on the shield was a bitch, though. Had to put a lot of screws into it, and then
Mounting
carefully
swords
hide
in
them.
general is inconvenient.
That's why I just leave
what
mine
she
lying
said.
around the apartment.
Yeah. We stayed with some friends a couple weeks ago that had just like a sword tucked like in their bed, basically. It's like in the crack between the bed and the wall. Like wakizashi or something.
We don't kink shame people, Ryan. Just let them do whatever they do. Just
think
leave
it
it
might have
be.
been
It's
like
their
a-
bedroom.
It might have been a defense, like instead of paying for an alarm system, they just keep a wakizashi tucked in their bed sheets.
It's a sleep wakazashi, like similar to Sean's sleep javelin. You know.
That doesn't seem safe.
It was she.
I'm
but-
sure it's fine.
Don't you I don't know about you all, but I sometimes move in the night, and I don't know, maybe you kick off the sheath and then.
It was like
Well,
tucked
okay.
between. It was like between the bed frame and the wall.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so it's
So,
not
like-
in the bed where you could.
No.
Okay,
No.
well.
I mean, it was still a little concerning, but
Yeah, that's why you got the headboard and you push it back and the sword drops out and then you can,
that's you.
use it
okay.
right away.
There's sheaths don't fall off that easily. A good sheath will not snap into place, but kind of snap into place. It takes a decent tug to actually get the thing moving. And you can also tie them down so that they don't just slide off.
Yeah. This is, I don't know if you guys have seen the headboard shotgun, but this is what I'm talking about.
Oh my God, no.
Is this a video?
Yeah.
Where is it?
I might need to skip ahead. I put it in the Super Cool Kids Club. You might have to skip through some bullshit at the front.
No, I've seen that somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but now
Why does it
replaced
say
with
gun?
sword.
Shouldn't be bed gun. No, well, I guess it is the gun bed.
No, gun
Okay,
comes
that's
first.
too easy to get out of the headboard. That's gonna kill somebody. I would punch that in my sleep and knock the shotgun into my face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or you might accidentally knock out your wife and then shoot her afterwards.
I mean, I can imagine a situation where someone pushes back against the headboard and the gun just falls back down. It's not a great. Yeah.
This is ridiculous. Have the
Yep.
tactical advantage in the event of a home invasion.
Yeah, I don't understand. The home security culture in America is the weirdest thing.
Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I don't have a rash of burglars trying to break into my house and, assault me in the sleep. It's not really a thing that goes on.
I mean, I understand a little bit of preparedness, but man, people are putting way too much effort at the point where they're creating a secret slot in their headboard they can deposit a shotgun from at a moment's notice.
Some
I mean,
people are
this-
just waiting for someone to break in their house so they can use all of their
That's what it feels
landmines
like.
and trip
Right,
It
the video
mines.
feels like
starts
someone who just
with,
really wants an excuse to shoot a person is what a lot of this feels like to me.
Yeah. I mean, the
I
video
want to be an
starts-
adventurer. I'm going to put a shotgun in my bed just in case. I'm going to
Yeah.
leave my doors unlocked too. And some money on the front door.
I mean, the first line is imagine
Trail
you're in
of
bed.
dollar bills.
Oh, I didn't even listen to the audio. Does it
Oh
actually?
yeah, it's yeah. Imagine you're asleep in bed and you hear a crashing sound of your window breaking.
That's when you get out your wakizashi. That's
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, guns are more likely to injure yourself, but I don't know the statistics on self-inflicted wakizashi wounds, but
One.
I'm guessing there's an enormous error bar, and I can conveniently ignore it.
Let's see. I've only known one person with a wakizashi, and I know one person who has a self-inflicted wound with a wakizashi. No, I know two people with wakizashis now, and one self-inflicted wound. So it's about a 50%
Wait,
rate.
am I the self-inflicted wound?
You're the self-inflicted wound. Yes.
Oh. I mean, you should see the other guy.
Oh yeah.
Trying to see if I still have that scar on my foot. It wasn't that bad.
No.
You really don't want to
Did you-
kill
did
the
you-
intruder and yourself, you know? That's not the goal of all this. If I can't have my stuff, you can't have it either, you know? No, that's not what we want.
Honestly, for home defense, a wakizashi is probably not the worst choice because it's small enough, right?
You know, I'm a big fan of my absurdly long bastard sword. I mostly the intimidation factor. Like you see a naked
that's fair,
Ryan
actually.
charging at you with like I don't even know what that thing is, like 4 feet long. It is like unwieldy long. It is definitely like made for LARPers, not for actual combat.
Do you want it?
Do I want it? I mean, the viewers can't see it. Just yeah, sure.
We want to see it.
You have to get it.
Okay, we'll trade the baby for a sword. There's also a matching scimitar, which is definitely.
Oh god, I want a scimitar.
Oh.
You want a scimitar?
Oh man.
Can you get both of them? And then
Where's the scimitar?
I'll look at like sword
Oh my
listings
God.
for like scimitars, and I'll be like, I'll point out to the guardian force like it's only $400, and she'll just be like, no.
Oh my god. Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, I have a really sharp sushi knife. If that counts for self-defense. I have to make it to the kitchen drawer first, but that's all I got.
Yeah, hold the. Choose your own hand some more. So we got them free. Someone was child-proofing their house and giving them away.
Oh, right.
And here we are, irresponsible
What? That's not
parents.
childproof?
They're sheaves, right? So that's got to be, including the handle. That's got to be like 4.5 feet. It goes up to my nipples.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
pretty
Little
cool.
Yeah.
bastard sword.
Amazing.
And then the scimitar.
That
This
is
is
quite
definitely a great scimitar, right?
Ooh,
That's a
it's
pretty big,
two-hander
yeah.
for sure.
Holy heck.
How have I
Very
never seen the
nice.
scimitar?
They came together. I don't know if it's like an east.
I think you've
versus
shown the
west,
scimitar before, actually.
Great Crusades.
I think we got into an argument on
Scimitar's sharp, I
Throw
should
at one point
probably-
about like sabers or
Wait, it's
scimitars, and
actually
Ryan like
sharp?
grabbed his scimitar.
Yeah, I think so. Oh, Aaron's bringing out the tape measure.
Oh my god. Okay.
Woo.
And that's actually sharp?
This one is, yeah.
Can you
I
cut
don't
your
know
monitor
what-
in half?
You know, we were just talking about needing to upgrade this monitor. So,
Oh my god.
I like the tape measure just hanging in from out of frame. Just sort of like,
Oh my god.
Oh, I got it. 53 inches.
Now that's a very
Nice
big
one.
one.
So the scimitar is less impressive, so let's do that one first. I should probably take the sheath off, but it's fine. It's like a 34-inch blade or something, but it's curved.
Ah,
3 foot blade.
barely a sword.
With like a 13-inch handle, 12-inch handle.
It's pretty big.
Pretty big. That's definitely a great scimitar.
Mm.
Is that 44 damage versus large?
What's the is it Falchion? I think Falchions are the
Falchion.
two-hander.
Yeah, they're more of a chopping
Europe saw
thing.
scimitars and thought, man, what if we just like made them bigger?
Right? I can't even unsheathe this thing indoors.
Wow.
There we go. I think it's lighter than the scimitar. All right. I need to polish these guys.
A little bit of
Get
corrosion.
mineral oil. Mineral oil will do just fine.
Okay. How big is my bastard sword? Wait, even.
Oh.
Oh my god. Try not to
5.5
step
inches,
that.
perfectly respectable.
Try not to cut the tape.
Try not to break a window.
38.5-inch blade. That's
Holy
like,
heck.
That's like borderline Zweihander, right?
Yeah.
You know what?
I think it is. I think it is.
I got it.
Typically at least 1.4 meters in total length.
0.4 meters. So we're 50, almost 52 inches, 1.32 inches in total length. Not quite 2 hands.
Meters.
But like my one hand is not big enough to wield this effectively.
Mhm.
But if you see me naked charging down,
Oh, yeah.
gonna turn around and run the other direction.
I mean, I hate to say it, Ryan, but if I saw you charge down naked anywhere, I would probably be pretty intimidated in the first place, even without the sword.
People who will charge you naked in general are
Right?
are a
Like, they have
frightening-
nothing to
frightening
lose.
class of
Oh
people.
my god.
Can confirm it is terrifying. Have played a prank on Ryan once. Did regret it immediately.
I don't even know what you're referring to, but
Oh,
sounds
it's
about
like
right.
a bucket of cold water in a shower or something back when we were
Oh.
living together.
Oh, and did I just come running out of the bathroom?
Yeah, you were kind of pissed, reasonably so, and that was quite intimidating. Yeah. Do not piss off Ryan, guys. He seems like a nice person until he's mad.
Those instincts, they take over.
Uh-huh.
Those hobgoblin genes. Shoving those under the TV stand. Safe place to keep them, right?
For reference, about 55 inches is kind of the minimum threshold for a Zweihander.
Or for the total length, or for the
Total length, yeah. I assume total length.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's almost 1.40 meters. Yeah, you're pretty close with yours then. Pretty close.
Yeah, 1.32.
Yeah, those were fun. You had to carry them directly because, like, you can't really put a sword on your back because you can't draw from the back. And then they were too big to hang from the waist, so you just had to carry them in your hands the whole time.
Kind of like carrying a spear.
Yeah, I guess pretty much the same thing there.
I mean, I think a lot of those two-handed swords were used more or less like a spear than a sword, right? They're for like unhorsing cavalry.
Yeah, they were like weird tactical weapons.
Or for intimidation factor.
I believe it.
What are you reading about, Neal? Gun
I'm
beds?
trying to construct a building. Prosperous universe. Some
Oh.
buildings were done. Got to see if I've got enough resources to build another one. I don't. It's fine. I can wait. I can sit for a couple hours now. So Faye, you had worked on a list of topics.
Oh
Since
no,
we're
I
Greg
absolutely
list.
have not. I've taken a nap instead.
That was like 8 hours ago.
Annette isn't. Oh.
Don't judge me, Neal.
Fair enough.
Oh man.
I think an 8-hour nap is considered just sleep.
No, it's not. It was an 8-hour nap. But so I am currently working in a different city for like 2 weeks, and I'm just home for pretty much today. So I woke up, had some breakfast, talked to people, and then had to start the washing progress of my clothes and stuff. And then tomorrow morning I'm going to leave at like 6 o'clock in the morning again to go back to work in the other city. So
Wow. Do you commute every day, or do you like stay in the city?
no, they actually have a hotel for me there. So I'm staying there in a hotel, but I really want to come back for at least one day in the week because I fucking hate staying at a hotel 24/7. So. Not 24/7, but you know, the whole week. Yeah. And then I took a nap, and then I had a shower, and you know, not enough time for everything.
Some things just had to be cut.
Yeah. Yep.
And it
Glad to
definitely
see.
wasn't going to be chit chat.
Well,
You know-
what else is going on in the world then? Ryan?
Oh, I was going to say, looking at this, I was still seeing this gun bed video. We need a sword bed, or like a convenient way to stow your bastard sword.
Well, the more you guys talk about it, the more like in the bed frame seems to be a reasonable, like between the bed frame and the mattress. That does seem more reasonable.
Yeah, that seems.
Or even just like under
fine.
the bed is probably.
Or yeah,
fine.
like between the bed and the wall or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you could also just like cuddle with your sword at night. I think that'd be
Romantic.
If it's a sharp sword, you could accidentally hurt yourself that way.
Well, I mean, you keep it sheathed.
Yeah, well, it's still, things move in the bed at night. I
Yeah.
wouldn't trust
Right.
a sheathed sword in there unless it was like piece tied together. In which case, it's not useful for fast action.
I mean, I don't think I even want a like sharp blade in a home invasion type situation.
No, you're probably better off with a
Right.
baseball bat.
Yeah. Or even I'm that dull bastard sword,
Mm-hmm.
just like as a holy shit, this guy's got a sword.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you start like drawing blood, you're opening yourself up to lawsuits.
Nah.
I don't know about the lawsuits, but like,
Depends where you are. I guess Washington's a mutual combat state, and I think someone walking into your house is probably considered challenging you to a duel, right?
wait, there is a dueling law still in Washington, actually.
Yeah.
As long as you get like an officiator to watch over the duel, you can legally duel people still in Washington.
Oh my god, what do you have to do to become a dual officiator?
It's usually
Can I apply
I think it's
for
just a
that?
cop.
Usually
like,
a
yeah,
cop,
you need a police
yeah.
officer.
God damn.
Is there-
I would have loved to be that. What's your hobby? I like to go to duels in my free time and just declare whoever the winner is.
There was a guy who would dress up in superhero costumes and like try to like intercept crimes in action and challenge the criminal to a duel and like fist fight them in the street. What was that guy's name?
God. Is he still alive or how's that going for him? Oh my god.
Dueling superhero. Is this in Seattle? Seattle superhero arrested. Accused of assault.
Oh no! This is not going great for him.
Real life superhero Phoenix Jones legally duels with racist.
Wow. You know, if you're gonna do that, you have to be really good. You know, you can't be like, I'm gonna be a superhero and fight people and then get your ass kicked. You know, you can't be like the superhero who challenges a racist and then loses. That's just, it's a bad look, man.
Apparently a whole 2011 to 2014, the Rain City superhero movement.
Wow.
Seattle-based organization. I think of like people that would attempt to duel criminals.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yep, definitely one of
10
those things that
citizens
sounds very
patrolling the
nice.
city in superhero costumes, using the name Thorn, Buster Doe, Green Reaper, the Mantis, Prodigy, Gemini, No Name, Catastrophe, Thunder 88, Penelope, and Phoenix Jones.
Oh god,
Thunder 88.
Thunder 80.
Oh, wow.
Oh god, no.
Oh Jesus.
That's a neo-Nazi.
I don't think. I mean, it's maybe it's like against the neo-Nazi because their leader is a black guy with crazy hair.
It is
I think
possible.
I think their whole thing is they go and they challenge racists to
Okay.
duels and fist fight them in the street. There's no Thunder 88 doesn't have his own Wikipedia page, so I can't find anything more about him.
Wow. Maybe he happened to just be born in 1988.
Yeah,
Hopefully. What is going on in the Pacific Northwest? What is happening over there? You guys always have the weirdest shit going on.
Just a really cool place. I guess because we have a very large population of like white supremacists and neo-Nazis, not as bad as Oregon, but like being number 2 isn't that much better.
I don't think we're number 2 in like the West, but like I don't know.
I guess when you've got a lot of bastards, you kind of invite a lot of weird responses to that bastardry.
And like the general cultural response is like pretty mild. Oh no, after you. Oh, pardon, excuse me. No, I didn't mean to offend you. So you get kooky superheroes that are like, no, I'm not going to be polite to racists. I'm going to challenge them to fisticuffs in the street.
And then get arrested.
So what's been going on in your life, Faye? aside from the work?
Oh God. I don't know. Do we really want to talk about such a depressing topic?
Never mind. Moving on very quickly. Sean, what's happening?
Like all my plans have been canceled because we've got like scheduling conflicts for tabletop. I can't go out anywhere because, you know, there's still a plague. So I just kind of play video games and I read books and I work from home. I haven't worn like outdoor clothes in so many months. If I'm wearing pants at all, it's like these pajama pants.
Nice.
when I'm
They have little hearts on them, chat. They are adorable. I love those. Those are
Man.
so cute.
honestly, it's great. It's been pretty great.
Nice. Nice. What about you, Ryan? How's the big life changes?
Pretty good. I do go outside in big boy pants and brave the plague. Yeah, I don't know.
Nice.
Living the life, being an adult. Babies and
That's the same.
babies and jobs and traffic and plagues.
Oof. Wow.
I mean, I live in a small-ish city, and now I'm currently working in a bigger city with lots of tourists. And the cultural shock of going back into an area that's like heavily populated all the time, like super crowded all the time, was stunning to me. I have not been to a place where people are just walking, shoulder on shoulder down the road, and everything is incredibly crowded. And I was absolutely stunned and totally overwhelmed by that for the first like 3 days or so before I got used to it again. That was a difficult change.
Yeah, I had that too. I went to a coffee shop in a fairly populated area not too long ago, and there were just people everywhere, and that was frightening to be around.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
As I was telling Sean before this, we were gonna go out to a concert on Tuesday, like the day after tomorrow, but our friends who are putting on the concert and everything in Denver apparently all came down with COVID in Ohio.
Jesus.
And so now
How's the bullet there?
the entire tour is canceled, or the last leg of the tour is canceled, and they're stuck quarantining in Ohio, which just sounds like the worst combination of words I can think of. If you're not from the United States, no one has ever said a good thing about Ohio. If you're from Ohio, I'm sorry. But you probably agree
I
with
feel
me.
like there's probably worse places to quarantine.
Sure. You could be quarantining on like Ice Station Zebra or something, but like...
That sounds pretty cool, actually.
I don't know how bad Florida would be, actually. I was going to say Florida's pretty bad because it's so
Florida's
hot and humid, but
Florida's
you'd
a
be
mixed
stuck
bag.
inside, so
there's
maybe
cool
it'd be air-conditioned.
Yeah. I don't think Ohio's like the worst. I mean, it's like got a reputation for being kind of bland, but
Yeah.
I
My older brother's ex-girlfriend was from Ohio, and she did not have nice things to say about it. And neither did he when he came back from visiting her family over there. Ooh, he's a baby. What's happy?
stare at the screen. You're gonna melt your eyes. Right, your brain.
She's super well behaved today. Look at her go.
She's always well behaved.
Hmm.
She's a
I
great
know.
baby.
Children are opposite of their parents.
Oh my god, I wish. I really hope that's true, because then my nephew's gonna be the coolest person ever. I can't stop looking forward to that.
Shots fired.
It's fine.
I hope your sister doesn't listen to the stream.
Jesus, do they have a
Oh,
burn unit
God.
in your
Does your
town?
sister speak English?
I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if she was interested in anything I was doing. So I'm safe. I'm safe here. This is a safe place for me. It's okay. And she has my second nephew now, so she's busy with all the kids around her, surrounding her. Yeah.
My younger brother is coming through town in 3 days on a motorcycle cruise across country with some friend of his, which is pretty exciting.
Sweet.
I can never tell. Sorry, I can never tell which one of your brothers is the one on the boat and which one's the one with the motorcycle and which
They're
one.
The
same
younger
one.
brother, those are the same ones. That's
Oh.
the younger brother.
All right.
The
All
older
right,
brother
gotcha.
is the salsa dancing Counter-Strike player.
He also
All right.
also rides motorcycles.
He also
but-
rides a motorcycle, and he got my sister a motorcycle. So now the three of them all do. My motorcycle's been broken for a
Excellent.
decade now,
Do you
almost.
still have that motorcycle?
It got hit when it was parked on the street by like a drunk driver the late night, early next day of St. Patrick's Day in
Bummer.
San Francisco.
Same
Yeah.
thing happened with my sports car. I fixed it out. That was the-
Oh my god.
Sorry,
No.
just to interject.
I don't have a sports car or a motorcycle, but that's
Yeah,
nice.
mine just
Did
got
you-
totaled.
Did you say a salsa dancing Counter-Strike player who rides a motorcycle?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's my older
What
brother.
are you doing with your life, Neal? Like, you had this role model that you could have followed, and you
Well,
went with
see,
tabletop streaming?
I did Dungeons and Dragons, motorcycles, and ballroom, like swing and other stuff.
Okay.
So he went into
Okay.
the
Yeah, fair
Latin
enough.
dancing. I went into the like European dancing.
Right. And
Mhm.
he was like a state ranked wrestler, right? And you're
Uh-huh.
you're,
High
you're a
school and
black
college.
belt.
Mhm,
So
yep.
he did all these
similar.
cool things, and you found like the nerdiest, lamest way you could follow his footsteps and adapted it.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Do you sometimes forget that Dungeons and Dragons is a hobby? Because I sometimes think, well, I don't really have, that many hobbies. Hobby is not a word. Like, spare time activity or whatever.
Mhm.
Like it's something you spend your free time on. And I'm like, I don't really have much I do in my time off, except for watching stuff, reading, playing some video games and stuff. And then I realized I pour a lot of time into Dungeons and Dragons usually, and that's actually a free time activity. But sometimes I just forget about it,
Yeah.
just like they
It's
don't
weird
count
to
that
talk about,
towards
though.
the rest of the
Yeah,
things.
it's like I like to read about this thing that I spend like 5 times as much reading about as I do actually playing it.
It's more that it's in an odd place culturally, is what I was saying. Like when I grew up, it was not a cool thing to talk about or admit that you did. And it's kind of come like full circle. Now it's like super popular, and like people who would have never been caught dead playing are suddenly picking it up in their 20s and 30s and later. So talking about it now kind of feels like you're jumping on the lame bandwagon.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's in a weird spot.
Yeah.
But for Neal, it's not even a hobby anymore. This is business.
It's work.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even allowed to have fun.
Nope, this isn't fun. This is labor right now, guys. I hate every moment of it.
That's not true. You a filthy liar. You don't
My
hate
boss
every
is such an
moment of it.
asshole, though. He makes me keep working all the time.
Oh.
I recently inherited some 4th edition player's handbooks.
Oh my
Aaron's
god.
Ooh.
Don't get too excited. It's an interesting cultural artifact. Aaron's school was getting rid of them,
Oh, nice.
throwing them out, and
You
Why
could
did-
probably
Who ended up with 2?
find I imagine there's probably a whole bunch of like half-price books in places like that.
I mean, yeah, these were free. They were like one of the bosses or the clubs or something was getting rid of them, so they like put them on her desk, and they're like, "Can you like recycle these or throw them out or something?"
Oh my god.
She was like, "Should I take it home?" It's
40
4th
is
edition,
a-
so like you can kind of see why they would throw them out. It's interesting to like flip through. I played 4 the other day, but like
That's a little harsh, right?
it was,
It's a very
it was so
interesting
bad.
system.
Look, flips to a random page. Just look at that. That's just like those are just like this is probably a fighter too.
I like how orderly
Paladins.
this
These look
looks,
at-
okay? I like it.
This is a level 1 through 5 paladins. These are your combat maneuvers. Just like 2 pages.
I
of
think
little
that's
index
amazing.
cards.
You
It's
should
such
send me a
bad
package.
game.
I absolutely want that book. I think that looks amazing.
I'll be right
I mean,
back.
the
Oh,
art's
I
always cool, but just like such a poorly designed game or poorly designed edition. I mean,
Well,
it was
maybe-
made. You can't print this in a book. Like this was like made for having.
Yeah, it feels like it should have had like cards for it,
That's
right?
isn't that how? That's how we played them. We would print
I know
out.
5e
index-
has cards.
Yeah, we would print out index cards of our powers, and then you could like keep track of which ones you'd used and which ones you hadn't. And like you almost needed was it D&D Beyond or whatever the app was to like make characters. It's just too complicated. Like you could not make a character with this player's handbook. I don't know why they even printed books.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like 4E was trying to be kind of like a cutting edge approach to designing tabletop games, and like a lot of those, it had a lot of problems that came from actually innovating.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a relic of like that MMO era, but you almost need like a video game engine to keep track of all of your encounter powers and your
that's the thing that always scares me about it, is like you have all the AoEs and everything, and like they last for variable durations, and so
yeah, we had a lot of fun with that, but it was like you had to have like, I don't know, our DMs were pretty competent. Actually, Rob was one of my first one of our 4 DMs, and you needed to have like minis and the little like AoE markers. I'm imagining
now Roll20 would probably work pretty well for 4th edition.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I've never played 4E, so I can't judge. But I imagine it's nice having a system where you can't read through everything. So the DM, like if you have a competent DM who knows a lot of stuff, I imagine you don't get questioned as much as a DM that when you have a very flexible system that's very easy to learn and everybody knows the rules anyways. So I think the arguing is probably less.
Because it's all it's like a video game, and it's like there's no like weighing situational advantage. You're just like, I flip this card and it does this thing. It's like even like the fighters are like, I cast my spell Whirling Blade Vortex and it does this damage and it's got this DC save, and here's my little marker that shows the AoE of it.
Maybe I'll randomly sign up to a Roll20 4E game.
Does anyone still play it?
That's a dangerous decision.
I could seeing a renaissance on Roll20, because like that seems like the tool that would have made it work. Like it was almost ahead of its time in that like it needed a Roll20 engine to run properly.
Yeah, my objection was more just a random Roll20 game in general.
We're still talking about 4E?
Yeah.
We should get Justin to run us a 4E game. He could do it.
Yeah.
He's got all the materials and he knows what's up.
We were saying on Roll20 it could be well streamlined. Like you keep track of all your encounter powers or whatever, and
totally
AoEs and durations and
Roll20 would be the perfect platform for 4th edition.
Wow. That does sound tempting.
Learn a whole new system that's unlike any of the other systems.
Well, that's honestly one of the appealing parts, right? Is that it's so different from all the other editions of D&D.
And it is cool. The combat in it is exciting and interesting and fun. If you just want like a really good combat simulator, 4th edition is very engaging.
Well, I don't know about combat simulator. It doesn't feel like Dungeons and Dragons. It feels like a cool board game / video game or something.
It's like the Fire Emblem of D&D.
Maybe. Yeah. And like building the character, it doesn't feel like you're a D&D character, or like it's like you're building a video game character. And I think you get a feat every level, right? So it's like constantly like skill trees and picking your level 1, level 2, or level 3 encounter, daily
encounter
powers,
and blah blah blah.
Yeah. I mean, you say that like it's a bad thing, but there was 3rd edition as well, which did something very similar, and also had like the empty levels where you had to take this feat because it was important. You get this crappy feat now, so you can get the god tier feat later.
Yeah, or it was like, if you don't take the +1 to hit feat, you're just not as good as the character that does. So like mechanically, why would you take your flavor feat? You need +1 to hit. You need to be you need to take your sword master. You don't get to be a whatever. Yeah.
Didn't 3E also have all the prestige classes and stuff? They did, right?
Yeah.
Prestige classes were not very
too.
good from what I remember, which was a shame because it was a very cool idea.
I mean,
I think
that was originally like the bard and. Oh, you okay?
Yeah.
The other cool innovation in 4E was the skill challenges. Was that what they were called? Like, I think if there's one thing to take from 4th edition, it's and like apply it to other stuff. It's that those were like they instead of having proficiencies and stats, they introduced all the skills. And there's actually in the DMG, there's like a mechanized. Here's how you set up a skill challenge, so like an encounter, but instead of using your combat abilities to fight, you use your skills, and like you'll set a difficulty of like, okay, you need to complete 3 relevant or like pass 3 relevant skill checks, or like 3 out of 5 relevant skill checks, and these are the ones that you can use. So like mechanizing the skills of the game, so you can have an encounter that's social but still gamified.
I mean, that is probably nice for people who are also not that much into the role-playing aspect, as in having like long dialogues and scenes with NPCs, and they just prefer having a way to gamify it. I think there's like plenty of people like that, and I think that's probably a good thing for them.
Yeah.
I mean, even then, like gamifying conversations probably works for certain types of social encounters.
And actually, there are parts of the combat that are worth like it is really streamlined with like the movement and the action economy. Like you've got there's like movement actions, bonus actions, main actions, or whatever it is, standard action, standard action, bonus action, movement action. And then you can like the 5-foot steps and so there's a lot of like the grid-based movement that I still find myself sometimes referencing.
I'm kind of surprised they didn't go for action points. Like D&D has gotten to this point where they're getting so granular with like you have these types of actions and these types of actions. It kind of surprised they never just said, what if we just like streamlined all this with action points?
I think that gets too mathy or too crunchy for the average. Like
it's a lot of tracking.
The thing about 5e, the thing that 5e does really well is it like has a pretty simple, low barrier to entry.
Yeah, 5e specifically is easy with it. It's like you have bonus action, primary action, and movement, right? And then does it even have free actions in the book?
No.
Yeah.
4e does. Are there? There's some things that say you can do them.
Oh, you mean 3 or 5e?
5e.
But yeah. They have free actions, like object interactions and shit. Yeah.
Except they're like you can interact with one weapon as part of your main action for free. Like they're very specific things. They're not like
opening a door is a free action.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but is there a limit? Can you open as many doors as you want?
No, it's like one. You can open one door, and then you need to use a bonus action for the second one.
Okay.
What if it's a swing door? Is it like only half of it, not the other half? Yeah, exactly. Can you do both saloon doors?
I'm kind of surprised that a door would even be a free action to begin with. My gut instinct would have been to say bonus action from the get-go, but
depends how complicated the door is.
I would think as a DM you should specify how complicated your doors are.
I think if it's a DC 15 door, then the free action doesn't really. But if it's like a DC 5 door, then the free action is perfectly fine to open that one. Gotta have that planned out ahead of time before they come to all your doors.
Or is it like a tumbling lock door?
Did you push it instead of pulling it? Because that's your free action. Now you have to use a bonus action to
do the other one.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I guess you could go for the original D&D approach of every door weighs 50 pounds and is also stuck, so you need to make a strength check to open it.
God. Tell me that's not what original D&D was.
Original D&D? Yeah, that was the thing. Doors are stuck in dungeons, and you have to
Why do you think there's a column on the strength table for opening a door?
Well, I figured, it came up a lot, but I didn't realize that it was like every door.
I mean,
in dungeons.
It depends whether Gary Gygax designed your dungeon or not.
Because the idea was like, all these dungeons are dilapidated and crumbling. The doors exist, but they're not good doors.
But then how is anything living behind those doors? Like, how do creatures end up behind these stuck doors? Are they making strength checks every time they open them? If you're in a goblin dungeon, is the DC to open doors really low? What's
And
going on?
Gary
here?
Gygax would love to answer, but he's hitting a line of cocaine right now. And
Well, I think one really interesting development over the years, up to 5e now, is that I feel like dungeons used to have more traps, more locked doors, and more locked chests and stuff like that to interact with, and more trap. Did I say more traps? Sorry if I repeat myself. And definitely more traps than they do these days, you know?
yep.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I used a knock spell in 5e or something, you know?
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
That's more, well, some of that's from like your like DM choices, but it's also the game.
Mhm.
Like the skills are not fun to interact with in 5e, where there's not much difference between the characters, right? Like your lockpicking skill isn't actually, I don't know, it doesn't even feel like it's a skill. It's like you roll a d20 and you add 1 to 5, but the d20 is the determining factor.
Mhm.
Yeah. And
So
like,
every character has a pretty similar chance of doing anything, and it's all very random because of like the bounded accuracy stuff,
yeah, you don't feel much progression on a character in that regard.
or even like distinction between the rogue and the wizard. Like maybe the rogue has an extra plus.
That's true,
2,
especially because dexterity
maybe
is
plus
such a good
4.
stat that a lot of
Yeah.
people are probably putting dexterity as like their third highest stat on a lot of character types. That like, yeah, everybody's a little good at lockpicking. The rogue has +2 compared to the wizard.
Ah, man, that's such a shitty feeling.
Yeah. Or even like if you especially if you're rolling for characters, there's a pretty good probability that your rogue has 14 dex and the wizard has 16, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Well, I
you get
imagine
double
you're
your
arranging your
proficiency.
stats at least, even if you roll in 5e.
But like you could have a Van Helsing in your party.
Oh,
and,
right.
Like, and then Croak, and then.
Mm-hmm.
But with 2e, you've got like the rogue has these special features.
That's
Oh
true.
my! Battle
Yeah,
cry
aside
over
from
there.
fighters, you didn't really need high stats in AD&D, unless you really wanted if you're a fighter, because having low
Even-
strength or con is pretty painful there. But like
I don't
wizards
even know
only
if that's
really...
true. Like, and like you get +1 to hit every level, so like it's a lot at level 1, but like a level 4 fighter
Factor in the
way
armor
better.
penalties,
Is
though.
way better than you like. It has already surpassed a level 1 fighter with 18 strength.
True. But like factor in the armor penalties from low strength and also like
I mean, low dex
low strength. Because if you
because you can't carry heavy armor.
yeah, you can't wear the heavier armors, which means your AC is capped a lot lower, and AC is such a big deal in the earlier editions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess wizards are kind of need the int a little bit more in AD&D as well because of the spell learning and stuff like that.
Disagree. I don't know. Nick complains about it a lot in Tombs of Scoria, but I don't think that int really matters as much for wizards.
Well,
as, like,
in
wizard
earlier
does.
ones, it mattered even less. Like the 9 int wizard was no problemo, but in a
I think it's still unless you're like looking for a very specific spell. A 9 int wizard only becomes a problem when you like can't get when you're like level 12 or whatever, and you can't get 6 level spells or whatever it is.
well, also you have the much lower like spell per level limit.
Yeah, I mean, who really needs more than magic missile and fireball, anyways?
It's a specific problem for Nick and his RNG. Bless Nick's RNG. I want to see Nick roll for HP more often.
He's done pretty well apparently lately on Tombs of Scoria. Apparently, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What was it, Todd? I love them. Like I think he's done pretty well. But I think it also depends how you play your games, right? Not everybody is optimizing for a large crowd, trying to get all the the best situation, like all the best spells in every situation. Some people are just like, oh, I get a new spell, oh, that's amazing. What is it? Oh, cool. Yeah, I got whatever it is,
Mhm.
So for it's not everything is about getting like just the best spells for every situation, and you don't care about any of the others. So,
Yeah, Koronokiri has a good point about the magic gear. And I think you see that in Tombs of Scoria, right? Stats don't matter. As soon as you've got a belt of giant strength and an amulet of vitality, it's like who cares what your starting stats are?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you get those though, if you have a DM who like doesn't give you those things, and all you get is a ring which gives you +1 at damage when you hit level 7, then
Is this a specific campaign you're
Can you
complaining
guys
No.
feel the salt in the air? It tastes so good.
Mean.
And
I
a
just
cool
got a little
shield. A cool shield.
Oh, fuck off! Okay. I don't want to talk about it. I'm mad. Okay, I'm
It
mad.
sounds like you
because-
want to talk about it.
Okay, I'm talking about it because I love that shield very much. You have to imagine a situation. Okay, this is very personal. Imagine a situation where you are, to your knowledge, you know, like the last heiress to the throne of like the entire country, and your family, I
debatable.
was like, imagine, Ryan. Imagine. Okay, there might be a second person out there, but nobody knows who that is. Except for people outside of, you know, like on a meta
Is
level.
there a civil war going on?
Yeah.
Imagine, I'm not done. Imagine you're all by yourself, okay? Your entire family has been murdered in front of your eyes. You've lost your father. You've lost your entire family when you were locked up in a tiny room, shackled to your own feet, Neal, you know, while your family was fighting. They get stabbed to death. You get dragged out. You get brutally murdered by a cult, right? Who then, like, not really murdered, but, you know, brought to my -9 and then, you know, healed back up or whatever it was. And then a bunch of, like, and then you hide out in a tiny temple because, like, people are out there telling you if you ever return as the heiress to the throne, you will be murdered and people around you will suffer for it, right? So you're trying to get on your back on your feet, and for months you're stricken with grief because you've had this absolute horrifying experience. And then a bunch of dudes show up, right, to your temple, and they go, "Oh yeah, you know, we're here to save you." And you think they're actually here to save you, right? But turns out they're actually just here because they want your shit, and you're just also there, so they're taking you with them. Okay, that's the order of things. So you're like, well, okay, I guess what am I gonna do? Oppose those 3 like heavily armored dudes who are way more powerful? Be like, nah, you got no. Okay, well, you're going with them. And then you're like, well, can I have my shit back? And they're like, we're gonna talk about it later. And then they leave you behind, and they never show back up, and they take your stuff. And then they take your shield, which, by the way, has the symbol of your family on it,
And
right?
I'm pretty sure in the last episode they said, we're never going to use this shield again. Let's just give it to some random...
it is a
level
priceless
6 NPC.
heirloom, right? You have to imagine, if your family was the one that founded that country hundreds and hundreds of years ago, right? The family sigil is on this shield that was specifically made for that very family. You're the last person of your family, right? This is your shield. And some 18 hotness chick stops by. So the dude's like, I'm not using this shit anyways. You can have that if you want to. And I'm sitting there like...
So, yeah. You sound like you're still pretty invested in this character. So,
I get
that whole story
DMs in the
sounds-
middle of toss about this, Ryan.
That whole... oh, do you read getting
type Neal
DMs?
about it. I was mad typing. I was typing to Neal. I was like, Neal, I've never been so mad.
This whole
I
story
was
sounds pretty
so mad.
campaign ruining. You should probably just retire that character and move on.
I probably should, but I'm gonna send out. I already have a master plan, right? I'm sending out a bunch of assassins to get that shield back. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen eventually.
Cleric of
Yeah.
Martha sending out assassins.
She's reborn.
Sure.
She's not a cleric of Martha anymore.
Yeah, technically, I could be Vorasti now if I wanted to, Neal. You know, so
That's true. That's true.
So
You could go for Velthara. Get the
that also sounds. I mean, that does sound
do
pretty
the double
reputation ruining.
vengeance.
Like
Do
if
the
Akuba
double
gets back
vengeance.
on its feet, doing something like this does seem like it would ruin international relations.
Mhm.
Right? Them flaunting this precious family heirloom of the ruling family of Akuba.
Yeah.
Well, it's also a question. If someone proposes, you marry the heir to the throne of Drakis, right? But they also like steal your stuff and bring you back,
And
then leave
kidnap
you in
you.
kidnap you back and leave you in a situation where this cult that is after you, right? Like
Wait.
can still murder you, right? Like
The cult's
if
not
you
that
made
powerful, are they?
who knows, right? Who knows? We'll never know because nobody
it's
gives
fine.
a flying. Nobody gives a flying
So-
fuck. It's gonna be fine, right? It's just an open door. What could possibly happen? So that cult is still after you. So you can't just be like, well, you know, be a public person anymore. And you're just
So-
entirely fucked over in the castle. So it's like, yay.
Where is Sarah? Is she captive in
Well, I can't-
Renta right now, or
I
did she?
can't talk about it because we're not
Okay.
doing law off screen. It's not happening. Nobody
Okay,
will ever
fine.
know.
was-
Neal and I know pretty much what she's up to, and it's pretty good. I'm a big fan, but it's not gonna be a public thing, I
Fedoras,
think.
long cigarettes, daggers in the garter.
Yeah.
Nice. I was kind of secretly hoping that they would go through with their plan to like unseat the queen of Drekis, so that we could, I don't know, do some shadow assassin in the back and just like off some of those characters in their sleep.
Some of the characters being the player characters of Toss, or the NPCs of Drekis.
Sure. Like Tyrael and Anton decide to overthrow the kingdom of Drekis, and then
Grimes comes out of the
a
shadows.
shadow assassin pops into the
Mhm.
bed in the middle of the night and slits their throat.
Like, I mean, technically, if by that
I don't
point,
think. Yeah.
by that point, my character had married into the royal family, then I could team up with Van and Darth, right?
Mm.
And be like, oh, listen, they murdered the queen. We gotta do something about that. And then obviously, pick up Grimes, and then we're gonna pick up Nick as well.
Yeah. I don't
and
think.
then fight himself. And then we do the big counter campaign. It would be amazing, but I don't think it's happening.
Yeah. Baby's clapping for this plan. I don't think
Yep,
Grimes.
I think it's great.
How could you play with two of your own characters though?
You can play with two characters at one time.
Of course you can. I mean, just put in double shifts. I'm sure Nick would be excited about it.
I don't think Grimes would give two shits about any of this, but
No, but if William would be going, Grimes would be going, right?
I put a lot of effort into blessing that one baby, so I'd have to make sure that baby's okay.
Well, that would be my daughter, technically. So you can
Stepdaughter?
see how the relations
Okay.
my daughter, I'm a cleric of Martha,
Sorry,
loving
sorry.
people. It's like yeah, sure, stepdaughter if you want to, but yeah. I have no idea how we got into this in the first place, but yeah.
I'm pretty sure you have a bone to pick.
I have an entire novel written out about this. No,
Wow.
I have mad typed to Neal when my
You've
shit was
accepted
given
this
away.
much more gracefully than I have.
What do you mean?
I was like, oh,
Really?
they're gonna murder me? Here, let me design them cool magic items to loot off my corpse. And they still have the audacity to complain about the quality of their gear.
Oh my
Mhm.
god.
I think they've said several times that your robe is absolutely amazing, though, and I think they're right. I think that's a really cool robe. Well done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't that baby die in a carriage accident? No, she did not.
Oh.
That was
God.
the wife died. The baby's fine.
Yeah, wife and
Are we
baby are
talking
different things.
The blessed
yo.
baby?
Mm-hmm. Blessed
Yeah,
baby is
exactly.
still good.
Okay,
Still blessed by cheese.
perfect.
Gonna be hot as shit. Party's gonna trip over
Oh.
themselves to save it.
Oh God! Don't tell him. It's gonna be terrible. Don't tell him.
Anyway, on the subject of magic items, before
Mhm.
Anna-Sophie's monologue,
Salt mine came up.
you've definitely had good campaigns with none to low magic items. Like Mousefur, we did like 9 levels with 0 magic items in the entire campaign, I think. Granted, it was like a pretty OP class that like had built-in magic rewards, but
Mm-hmm.
no magical items necessary.
I
And then
I
we've had
think
other
it's
campaigns
fun.
where it's like there's one magic flaming sword and the whole campaign is centered around that. But like
Mhm.
there's no need for any other magic weapons.
Mm-hmm. I like the.
I think it's fun to have low magic item campaigns. I think in general that is a lot of fun. It just feels weird when the next campaign pops up and they're like, "Here, I have 20 plus 2 swords." You're like, "Oh well, I guess okay,
Are you talking about
interesting."
Fro or
Yeah, I mean, in
Or-
Furfur, I don't think Frofra had that. Like, there were a lot of magic items at the very end. I think, right when you
And by
guys
the
were
end, it
looting
was
the
like
Dragon's Cave and shit.
literally and the scrags would be like literally hundreds of +1 weapons, and we're like, we can like load up the portable hole with as many of these as we can fit. But
I know in the Koibu Knights we had one Bell of Giant Strength. We had the shield, which doesn't even give a bonus to AC. It's just a shield wall, right? Still very nice though. Then we had 2 rings that gave +1 damage, and that's it. That
You had,
was levels. We were level 7.
How were
There
your
were
spells?
other magical items and tombs that you were in that you decided wasn't worth the effort, and so they were not acquired. So it's not like there weren't more things in your path. These are just the ones you worked for.
And like,
He says effort, but we were at like 1 HP, one person unconscious,
how-
you know.
how were your magic abilities? Because you had like custom classes. Did that not make up for it, or were your
Well, Neal,
spells?
talk about it. I'm
Great.
giving you the stage for the custom classes.
So the cool spells that we got for Sammy were bomb, and they're great, and they're still in the game.
He was a specialist. What was he?
Conjurer.
Conjurer. Yeah.
Conjurer, yeah.
I really liked the custom cleric of Martha, but I only watched the first like 10 or so sessions of Koibu Knights in their entirety. So I don't.
There's
have a
only
feel for how-
26. Easy to catch up, Brian.
Well, with all the ranting, I'm not sure what the quality of the second half is going to be like.
It's actually the second half is good.
It's actually good.
It's the better half. Yeah.
I think the second last episode is the best episode of the entire thing. It's so good.
So I don't have a good feel for the balance of the class, but I felt like it made it for an interesting, unique like cleric of a specific mythos, and I like the idea of taking the healing away from other gods.
Those were cool concepts. It was just hard to pull off and balance well and make them feel useful. The idea that you have like some powers are just sort of at will made it a little bit tricky to be useful. And then you had to track HP in a certain way to make it work. And that was kind of a bitch. I enjoyed making it, and I hope people enjoyed watching it and playing through the custom Martha cleric stuff and the other custom clerics that we did, but redesigning an entire spellcaster is tough when you break it down to like, well, this god has this one, and this god has this one, and this god has this one. You need to make like an entire fucking spell list. It's just
it's a lot of work.
biatch.
I actually thought like I was fine with the spells and how we did it. Like we did a couple of changes throughout playing as well. I think I liked that. Like I liked the spells. I wasn't particularly sad that I didn't have a huge spell list, which is like you have these 20 different spells you can use at any time, right? Like my list was rather smallish, and I did not mind that at all. I was just salty that I didn't have more combat abilities. Like I wanted to be better at the physical combat fighting instead of just being like I have one attack, I'm stepping up one hit at level 7, and then otherwise you're just channeling this one spell and that's it, you know. So I really wanted to have like maybe the smaller list of stuff that's going on, like an aura or effect, and then on top like just getting a little bit more of the fighter. That would have been like my thing, what I would have wanted.
Yeah,
because the spells were not my issue at all. Like I think that made sense and that felt really fun, and it's nice to flavor those things as well, and it feels more like you are a chosen person and not just a holy wizard, you know. Like it feels like you are blessed by your god with the like thing that only belongs to them, and yeah, that makes it very special, and that felt really nice in a role-playing aspect, I think. So the spells were not even my issue, I think. But if you're taking away from the spellcasting aspect of the cleric in 2e, I think you have to like add on the fight aspect on top, unless you really want to make them like an out of combat role-playing utility class or something.
Yeah, I think clerics are a strong class in AD&D because they're just so all around solid, but they're in this precarious place where like their spells aren't that good. Like they're fine, but they're not wizard tier spells, right?
I disagree. Cleric spells are way more powerful than wizard spells,
Oh, I don't
especially
agree
per
with that.
level. I mean, not in terms of combat damage, but like, well, first off, healing spells. And then with a lot of them, like they get hold person and like plane shift and etherealness way sooner than wizards.
Yeah.
So like a lot of those utility spells are more powerful for clerics.
I guess my point being more like they're worse. Like they're kind of like what the bard was meant to be. That idea of like splitting class features. Like their spells aren't. I guess the better way to put it is their spells aren't as well rounded as the wizards, right? Like they're less like walking death balls compared to wizards.
Yeah. By design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And less
And then-
squishy, right?
Yeah, they're
Like
a little
less glass
squishier than
cannon.
fighters, and they're not as good at combat, although they're still pretty good. Like if you take things away from them, I think they actually work out pretty well because their whole package is pretty solid. But if you start taking things away, it kind of shows the inadequacies of like every individual component of the cleric.
So, Kongai said, is that Kongai? Sorry, I hope I pronounced it right. That's the problem with being a cleric of life, though, in my eyes, a cleric of Martha should be almost a strict buffer and healer of the group. And while that is correct, I can tell you have not watched the Kubanites. Because that's actually really interesting. And that's something really interesting to bring up in an adventure. Is like, if you have a cleric of life, how do they go about adventuring and, you know, killing enemies or saving enemies or sparing people?
And how
or,
boring
you know,
is combat for you?
So I actually
Doing those things.
in the RuneQuest game I ran, I had somebody who played a cultist for Chalana Roy, who's kind of like the big healer god, and their cultists have to be pacifists, and it worked fine. It was a good time.
What did they do during combat? Run around saying, guys, stop murdering each other?
They would run around healing people in combats. Like, you know, they could be there. They couldn't hurt anybody, but they could try and heal people in combat. And like there's big social taboos against hurting healers, so that like nobody would try to kill them, but like people would try to just like pick them up and carry them out of the combat field. Like, no, I can't let you keep healing these people. They keep getting back up and killing us. It was a good time. I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I think it's more interesting than it is an obstacle. Like if you want to play that, you can play it, and if you interact with it, that makes a character very flavorful because you have a lot of stuff to think about and a lot of stuff to do. It's not, you know, inherently a thing that's unplayable at all.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since life is like, I mean, if Martha is the goddess of life, then that's a huge thing to be covering, right? She's not just the goddess of healing; she's the goddess of life. So there's like a lot of aspects you can be talking about when you're doing these things. And I've healed plenty of enemies as well, who sometimes got backstabbed by my sister afterwards. But you know, the idea was there. You know, the idea was there.
I'd
Yeah,
really
the
like.
goddess of life would probably have magic, not just for like healing people, but also like creating new things, right? Like some of that probably being Eros, but not all of it being Eros. There's probably like community bonding and stuff like that. All falls under Martha's purview as well.
I'm trying to remember what kind of spells I had. I had mainly stuff like I did have healing, but I also had things like at a higher level you get fire immunity to, like, grant someone immunity to fire, for example. You get a battle hymn that is like a buff and gives your like followers AC and 2 hit, I think, as well. And they, of course, all the poison stuff, right? Like immunity to poison or healing poisons, things like that.
I really liked the hymns, the mechanics of that.
They were cool.
Like the AoE auras, and like you can only have one going at a time, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, like, you
And
pick
they
which
walk-
one you're doing.
They walk with you, but you only move at half speed while you're chanting. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was really cool.
I like the mechanics and the notions of a cleric who has these like power. All their powers are at will because they're divinely granted by a deity, and so you can do this stuff. Like, it feels nice separating clerics from wizards in that way and making them like culturally and mechanically distinct. But it's hard to give someone like, you have unlimited uses of these spells, but they're not like overpowered or broken.
The wound system made the unlimited healing kind of work, right?
Mm-hmm.
Although it looked like it got really crunchy by the end.
Mm-hmm.
Where like instead of being interesting narratively. It would come down to like, okay, let's count up our wounds and our max wounds and figure out how many days this is all going to take.
Yeah, I mean, it also came together with the problem, which is that the idea was that you can only use your cure light wounds on wounds that are a certain size, right? So if you have a 25 HP wound, but your cleric is only level 1, they can't heal that wound because it's too grave, right? And then sometimes we had these thresholds where we came into situations, we came out of combat and I was like, sorry, I can't heal that. I can't heal that. So we had to rest for like weeks and weeks. And in the very beginning, we thought I wouldn't need to pick up a healing and herbalism proficiency because I was a cleric of mouth. And we were like, I can use cure wounds, so I don't technically need that proficiency. But then after every single combat, I couldn't heal my party to full. And we had to just sit in the tavern for a long time because the wounds were too big, but otherwise it would be too overpowered in combat, right? So it was like out of combat, it took a lot of time. And then we were like,
you could
okay.
add like a duration-based thing where like you could have like an 8-hour, or like you heal someone D8 to any wound, but it takes 8 hours to affect.
Yeah, well, we did.
Something.
It was duration-based, anyways, where it was like I think level 1, it was you heal 1 HP per round. Right, and then yeah, because
I like the thematic image of a cleric coming into town and just like healing all of the wounded people, but it takes some time. The stronger, more powerful cleric, the faster you can heal people.
You could probably fix that by just making it take turns instead of rounds. That's long enough that it's prohibitive in the middle of combat, but I guess between combats you can always be fully healed, but that's basically just the cleric life, right?
Yeah, but then
like
Sean,
a first level cleric can heal any wound ever. Then like, where does the healing go get better? How do you improve in that regard?
That's true. That's one of the issues. I guess what you could do for that is, rather than clerics developing their powers along a line, powerful clerics just become more proficient in all of their like hymns and chants and get more. Right, they become a wider class rather than like a stronger class. Anyway, sorry, what was that thing?
Theoretically, that is a good idea, but that's already how we handle it. Like if you level, each time I leveled up, I would gain, or I think every second level. Don't quote me on that; it's been a long time. I think every second level, I would gain like 1 to 2 new powers. Like it would scale up. Right, and then I could use those. And at a low level, you have like cure minor wounds or cure light wounds, which works this way, and then at level 6 or 7 you get medium wounds, which works this, which is then more HP or greater wounds or something. And the idea to have it take like whole turns is a nice idea, but then you're coming back to combat, right? We've already said that the cleric is not like, in that way, the cleric is not particularly strong in combat, and you're a Martha cleric, so what you're doing is healing, and then suddenly you can't really heal in combat because it takes turns, right? What are you doing in combat? I walk up, right? I club that guy on the head, next turn. Like, what do you, like, you have your hymn going, imagine that, and then you're just clubbing people, like, once per turn while your fighter is critting around. That's not fun combat, It's like, that really is not fun combat to have.
What about, like, making rolls to do healing or defensive or buffing stuff? Is that, I've never played a system like that. Is that fun? Like, so imagine, like, a cleric has to they've got to make an attack roll to like healing word their allies. So you're still getting to roll your d20, and if you roll high, you succeed in raining down healing from the sky. So like mechanically, you're doing things.
It could.
Is that fun? Is it fun to like hit on a heal, or is it just you're rolling dice for no reason?
I have played systems where you have to roll dice to cast spells, and it's fine. Generally, they're way more permissive with your ability to cast spells to compensate for the fact that it's not a sure thing. Yeah. But I don't know. It's fine.
Can you crit on a healing spell then? Because that would be fun.
No, there were. Well, yes, you could, and that just made it not cost anything.
Right. Exciting. No. If anything,
Actually,
if I roll to hit with a healing spell, I want that shit to be able to crit, and then you get to roll twice the dice, for healing. That would be cool. That would be cool.
There we go. That's why it's all broken. Haha. This whole time I've been trying to review the cleric spell cards.
Yeah.
They were broken.
They were terrible. I've had a look. I couldn't even look at them anymore, so I had to look at my notes from back in the day when we talked about spells, because it was all just cards on that page.
It's because when I initially wrote them, I did a bad job, and I updated the CSS and HTML for the new cards, and then the CSS transferred to the old ones, and huzzah! Now they work. Now they're legible. Here's a link.
Oh, yes.
Where's the Super Cool Kids Club? What a name. There we go. Much better.
The Battle Hymn is by far the best one. That's the one I had. So
like
much
an
fun.
AoE buff or something.
Being
and
able to just rewind time is pretty great.
Yeah, that's also cool. I mean, and that's a very Tempos thing, isn't it? Like, that would be you tell me the ability, I tell you which god it is, right? That's the cool stuff about it.
Although,
I think
okay, wait. So the Tempos god can rewind time by 1 minute, right? But it takes 1 minute to cast the spell?
it's possible. I don't know whether... What is it? Is it called Rewind? What is it called?
It's the very last one on this list that Neal just posted.
Oh, it's very high. That's a very high level, yeah. It's a very high level.
I mean, yeah, I just put down some ideas. Clearly, that's not a finished spell concept. That's just like, here's an idea. Put it down. We'll get there later.
Yeah, we never got to that part, unfortunately.
Yeah. A lot of these things are like, this will be cool. I'm just going to put down some notes and it'll improve one day. There we go. Actually, we need to update this file as well.
Yeah, I guess if I were to do something like this, I'd probably merge the cleric and the paladin into a single class concept.
Mm-hmm.
Make the cleric a little bit better at martial combat to make up for the fact that their spells have gotten a little bit more passive and weak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a lot of this cleric stuff, this almost feels like paladin type stuff, like the AoE, like the battle hymn feels like it should be a paladin almost.
Yeah.
But then maybe a paladin is just a cleric with excellent stats.
Well, one of the ideas I would like to change around is just to, instead of having cleric as a class, you would have like a paladin for each deity or a cleric for each deity, and they'd function individually and separately. And so, your cleric of Astaire, your cleric of law and order would be a paladin, and your cleric of Martha would be like a healer, and your cleric of, Nadinus would be a dryad or something, or druid, yeah. And you would have a specific name for each of these core clerical characters. But then you're just building 7 classes, and as we mentioned earlier,
it could be the same mechanically with different spell lists.
Mm-hmm.
One complaint I have about 2e clerics is they all wind up feeling pretty similar, regardless of your deity. And a lot of that's just laziness on the DM's part, and just being like, here, have all the spells, pray for whatever you want, rather than being like, your deity only grants you these specific ones, or no, your deity says you can't have whatever.
Yeah.
No more healing for you. Or
Rigo Goblins helps a little bit with this, in that it's very easy to pull up your spell list.
Yeah, but they don't feel particularly distinct, and a lot of it's random. Like, why does
There's a lot of overlap. Yeah.
Your particular god have this?
Well, I think a lot of that. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. So I think part of that might be that the gods in D&D, because it doesn't have its own there's no established list of gods for AD&D, right? There aren't really spells that feel like a signature spell of a particular deity, right? They have spell lists that feel like they fit certain spheres, but you have a smattering of gods that all fit into a certain sphere. You don't really have that spell. It's that's the quintessential Velthara spell, right? You don't get this thing that feels like, oh yeah, this is what you play an Astaire cleric for, because they don't have those representative spells.
Yeah.
Coffee.
And about those representative spells, I think one of my favorites is the Vorasi one. That's the Touch of Death, which is a willing or unconscious creature that is touched by the cleric for 1 minute dies when they are asleep, right? So if someone is asleep and they're either willing or if they're asleep and you're a cleric of Vorasi and you touch that person for 1 minute, you can just instantly kill them after that time. which is great because that's a great power to have. You know, it's not super usable. It's not something you would probably use in combat or something.
Right.
But
it would require quite the wrestler.
Yeah.
Ooh, oh my god, the Verasi wrestler.
choke them out and then just fucking
The choke of death.
Oh my god. No, but it feels very, Verasi. It feels like that is a great power to have over someone.
Right.
And over life in general. So I thought that was a really cool one.
This is a bit of an aside, but that's actually a monk power in like older D&D editions. Very, very high level monks can just like if you touch a person, then within the span of like 3 weeks or something, you can just kill that person at any time.
Five-finger death punch is what that is, yeah.
Oh, man. A Verasi wrestler is just the Undertaker? Exactly.
It's just the Undertaker.
I mean, clerics of Verasis could just be the Undertakers in every town, city, graveyard.
Well, you had gotten up, Neal. We were talking about there's the touch of death spell for Verasi, where if you touch a person for a minute, you can kill them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's hard to do in combat unless you're a wrestler, and then you put people in chokeholds.
Mm-hmm. But it also specifies willing or unconscious creature.
Yeah, hence the unconscious. So you choke them to death. You choke them into unconsciousness, and then you touch of death them.
Totally.
Although
Like
it's just as easy to stab someone once they're
Exactly.
unconscious.
Exactly. That's why I was very comfortable making Touch of Death a first level ability, is that if someone's unconscious and you can hang out next to them for a minute, like you can kill them anyway, but this is maybe a slightly easier method of doing it and maybe a little bit more cleaner.
The fourth level variant lets you kill conscious people.
Really?
No, it doesn't exist. I was as an example.
Kiss of
I'm
death.
trying.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's disadvantage.
Skills.
Where does Falumbra fit in? Like, why would
man.
Falumbra not be the Undertakers?
So I finally wrote my deep lore on Falumbra, because for a long time I've been like, where the souls are, but I didn't really have anything on it. And so I finally wrote down a nice long segment on what Falumbra is, what the afterlife is like, and all that jazz. Because she is, the moon. I'm trying to open Scrivener so I can read it to you guys.
So we just need to have a character die so they can explore Falumbra.
Where is it? Afterlife. Okay, here we go. You enter the afterlife with what you are buried. Is that a real sentence? You enter the afterlife with what you are buried? With the things you are buried with? I don't want to have too many withs in here. With what
It is correct,
Don't
but it
add
doesn't
sentence
sound
with the
good.
preposition.
Yeah, anyway. Whole and intact around the middle of your lifespan. So if you die at 50, you experience the afterlife at 25. You may freely walk among the moments of your life as an outside observer, dressed as you were buried, as well as the other treasures that were buried with you. If the items are removed from your body, you then lose them in the afterlife, however long. If you've been in the afterlife for 20 years and then your clothes get taken by someone, then now for the rest of your afterlife you're naked. As new souls are spun from the fibers of the old, each soul is recycled into new ones, but asymptomatically, forever diminishing, but always still there. Each percentage point of you that vanishes diminishes your physical form, your personality, your awareness, and your mind. Eventually, you'll only be the shadow of a person that you were. So, as you slowly get spun into a new person, you just sort of like fade from reality, becoming less concrete. Your personality diminishes, your form diminishes, but you're still yourself. You're just sort of like a lesser, shadowy version of who you are. Eventually, you'll only be a shadow of the person that you were. In that time, you may walk among the moments of your life as a third person, viewing them in any order. Those with particularly horrible lives may spend decades living in only a handful of peaceful moments, while those with good lives may find the whole thing quite enjoyable. As decades and centuries of existence pass in the afterlife, you're able to view your life more objectively and take it in the whole of it. You may find that you are a much better or a much worse person than you thought you really were, or you may not even care. All the while, you're slowly fading from existence. Eventually, you'll only be 1% of who you were, only 1% aware, only 1% real, and then 0.1, and then 0.01, and so forth and so on. When you stop being yourself is philosophically obtuse, you're always yourself, just simply less and less of it. Undead are spirits who are enslaved to physical beings. The more intelligent undead have more of their original personality. The process of having your soul enslaved tends to bring out the worst in people. So their undead incarnation is usually the absolute worst version of that enslaved soul. Even mindless undead are real person souls being pulled through into the mindless undead. If you were raised as a mindless zombie for 100 years, you would spend those 100 years in the afterlife sort of seeing a double, experiencing your life as you please while also experiencing being a zombie. If you are raised as a particularly complicated or intelligent undead, you may have little to no part of yourself visiting your past life and all of your consciousness as undead. When the undead is slain, you return to the afterlife. Little is known after this. So this gives some sort of like horror factor to raising the dead, because you're forcing someone who's supposed to be resting in the afterlife to experience sort of like the afterlife plus the experience of being a zombie at the same time in like the worst, most horrible form of themselves. So it's sort of like a psychological suffering and torture and, messing up of people who should be resting and beyond.
That's why, as a good cleric, you have to get permission before you raise your zombies.
But even if you get permission, like, you still raise them and they're still the worst version of themselves.
That's why you can only raise the saints.
That might work, actually, if you like have very specific people. And this is sort of like sort of a spoiler for Todd, but go ahead. No, go ahead.
Or only raise the real assholes and condemn them to an eternity of suffering.
Yeah, because they're already suffering and they already deserve it. So
yeah, and like compel them to serve as like gate guards or something. That could work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Spoilers for Todd.
Well, Todd has a whole bunch of, there are some undead in Todd that have been bound to the White Prince, and so this is the you get permission from people to raise them as undead, which is sort of what the White Prince is doing, but it's also like horrific and awful. But these people promised that they could do this to them later in life, which I think was originally your idea, Sean. You said something about like getting permission to raise the undead once years ago. And
well, it's in the AD&D book. I think it's under skeletons.
Oh.
It mentions that evil clerics can do it indiscriminately, but good clerics can only do it with the express permission of the person who they're raising.
Here, I was crediting you with this concept all along.
It's in the Monsters Manual?
Yeah, it's in the Monsters Manual. Let's take a look here. Monsters, skeletons. I remember it because I remember reading it and just thinking it was so funny. Just you speak with dead to commune with your lost home. You're like, hey man, do you mind if I bring you back as a skeleton for a little while? Like, we're short a fighter and we could really use the help. Where is it? Some natural priests of deities of the dead or dying raise whole armies of animated followers. Good clerics can make skeletons only if the dead being has granted permission either before or after death, and if the cleric's deity has given express permission to do so, otherwise violating the eternal rest of any being or animal, something most good deities disapprove of highly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a notebook. There's a huge ass binder that's been pulled out. We're all waiting with bated breath to see what the hell's in this binder aside from more Fanta.
It's my Kuvan Knights notes, actually.
Jesus Christ! That is way better notes than I've ever kept.
Funnily enough, Neal, the session I opened up talks about Sky Grove, the half-elf, head cleric of the Temple of Nadinus in Wigthron, Reventa, who you actually erased from existence and just put someone else in charge next time someone asks if there was a Nadinus cleric in town, But I do have proof. It's right here. It's right here that he existed.
Maybe he went back to, who knows?
No, I said I think the headcanon is right, and that cleric of Nadinus they are pretty closely related to druids. So there's like the cleric of Nadina's fight club.
Oh, so the current
once per year to figure out who gets to be
defeated Skygrove in single combat.
Exactly. I think that's how it works.
And in shame, he turned himself into a tree for all eternity.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So now there's a tree in the castle.
That'll be Van Helsing's perfected tree spell. It's permanent.
You just permanently turn yourself into a tree. That's it.
I'm a little sad we never got to work more on our Jerkissin language, Neal. That was a good part. I have a
Excuse
few
me?
words written down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, baby.
What is
This is weird.
Jerkissin based off of?
Half German, I would say, in my opinion.
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Glutentag is how you say good morning in Drakissian.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you start your day with bread?
No, of course not. Well.
Good stuff. No, I had to look at, I was looking for the blessings I've actually chosen for my character. And we had, we had stuff like, I also want to say we had a horn of blasting. I entirely forgot that in the enumeration of, useful shit, so.
Oh, yeah, but I think if there was a
good.
horn of blasting and it wasn't like a big Akuban seal on it, they probably swiped that shit.
No, but it was a good item, I wanted to say. So we did get another magical item I didn't talk about. But I had things such as, I had battle him, I had a bless, a bless thing going on. Cure light wounds, obviously. Turn undead, which you also have to pick as an ability. Like, I think not every cleric could turn undead, I'm not sure. I think that was... I'd have to go through the list.
All the gods.
Yeah, I mean,
but not.
Yeah, no. I mean, in Neal's rework thing, I'm not sure if all the if
you
all
only
the
have
gods
one chant at level 1 or something like that.
Yeah, you get one chant, one blessing at level 1. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how he started out with. And then I had purify, which would let you like purify poisons and food. It's a cool one. It's a cool one, okay?
It's a spell that needs
that
to exist. Even if no adventurer ever uses it, like, it needs to be in the Martha wheelhouse. It's one of those NPC spells that is
Do you want to explain what fertility totem is, Neal?
I mean, you get a fertility totem. You keep it in your bedroom. You treat it right. You praise it. You treat it like a sacred object, and it consecrates the room, which increases the chances of conception whenever the totem's nearby. You can also create the inverse, an infertility totem that prevents conception. But you gotta treat the totem appropriately. Makes perfect sense.
We have talked about it and decided that every day you have to spend 10 minutes praying to Martha to make sure your fertility or infertility totem works properly. And if you stop doing it like that, then your totem runs out of energy and you have to find another Martha cleric who specializes in fertility.
Yeah, it'll just sort of fade. You need to be able to keep working with the gods in order to get their power. Keep praising them deities. But this is a thing that should exist. It explains how brothels can function a lot easier, and it explains, got a goddess of fertility. How do you...
Does every brothel need a Martha cleric on hand?
I think so.
Like the Martha cleric comes through, sells them these fertility totems, and then the brothel keepers, just keep them up by, thank you, Martha, for allowing me to continue my work without having any more children.
I think it's a really good thing. I have a there's totally cool stories to be told about, whorehouses profiting of Martha's religion. I think that's a good plot point. I also did have Martyr and Stay Death, which are incredibly cool abilities and super powerful and can definitely fuck your character over really quickly. Because Martyr lets you take damage for someone else in your group if they are standing close enough to you.
That's a cool idea. Revisiting this cleric stuff, this is actually pretty fucking sick. These are great ideas. I am far more pleased with this after reviewing it than I was earlier today.
Oh my god. I swear to God. You should also take the criticism parts, Neal. Don't forget
I haven't heard
about
any
those.
criticism.
Yeah, of course you haven't. We've had this discussion, like 2 years ago, we've had this discussion 100 times, but
I can sense Koibu criticism number 6 coming up on the Reddit.
No, I'm not going on Reddit typing criticisms. Though I did know that's not true. Actually, untrue.
Not going on Reddit in general is a good policy.
No, I did reply to someone the other day who said that the wizard tracking system was something that was entirely new because it was part of the Dardan's lore, and that's actually not true because it happened in Akuba as well. Because in
someone
Akuba,
responded with that, I think.
Yeah, that was me.
And linked to the. Oh, that was you.
That's what I'm saying. I can't say I'm not going on Reddit writing the criticism because I did, but it wasn't Neal criticism. It was a Todd viewer criticism because I was like, well, actually, we've had examples of this lore in Koibu because they track wizards with vials of blood. Get right. Yeah. Which is a cool idea, I think. But yeah, like I think taking damage for someone else in combat is pretty cool. And also
martyr spell.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty. You take more damage though than they do. If I like twice as much, I can't remember.
But if you happen to be a cleric with beefy con or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, I was a lean beef patty, so I did pretty well in the con strength department.
Lean beef patty.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because depending on who you follow, you might want to choose different stats then, right? Like if you are a cleric of Martha who wants to use Martyr and tank damage for your party, then you might choose a higher con and a lower wisdom because wisdom only increased the range of your aura. That's what it did, right? Because obviously wisdom was like the more wisdom you have, the more abilities you get, but wisdom was the more wisdom you have, the bigger your aura is around you, and you could affect more people around you, right? Stuff like that. So I didn't have that much wisdom because I didn't need an aura that huge, and instead I got more con and more strength to be better in combat and to soak more damage for my party.
Some of these are really interesting. I'm looking at the Malchus Cloud Judgment, just like a passive that makes your presence inherently confusing.
Yeah.
Clouds the minds of those that he speaks to, just every day, all the time.
Yeah, because you speak to a cleric of Malchus, and you're like, wait a minute, you're a cleric, okay, but you're also a cleric, and the confusion just sort of lends them to trusting you as they psych themselves out over whether or not they should trust you, and then feel bad for being like, oh, I'm distrusting them because they're a cleric of Malchus, I'm such an asshole, and then, okay, sure, I'll trust you. That's the headcanon. I dig it.
There is, I think one of the last abilities I got, there's also Stay Death, which lets you pretty much stabilize someone at -9 when they're about to actually die, which is insane if you manage to pull it off. But, you know, obviously you can't get them out of negative HP anyway, so you'll have to keep that in mind. But it's like there are spells that feel very Martha in that regard, you know.
How do miracles work? Are those like quest spells where you need the god's permission, or are they just?
Yes. I mean, I can actually read it out. I can read it out to you if you want me to. I still have that. Channel sacred items. Hold up, I'm gonna go over here. Oh my god, it's a really old Google sheet. Aura, blessing, symbolic, channel, sacred items. Wait, where's the actual miracle part? Oh, I think you made them later, so they might not even be in here. Never mind. All I remember from miracles was that miracles require your god to directly intervene. If you use it in a way they're not pleased with, you will lose your clerical abilities for like the next day at least.
Here we go.
If I remember correctly.
Requires direct intervention of a deity. Deities generally dislike being called for minor things and are likely to be displeased with those who exercise poor judgment or are wasteful and selfish with the deity's attention. So you can channel these miracles as often as you want, but then the moment your deity decries or thinks that you're abusing or misusing them, you sort of like paladin yourself out of spells for a while. So it just requires like a lot of control on the DM's part to say, you're a cleric of Martha, but you did this thing that you think is cool, but the deity is really not okay with it. So now your deity is displeased and you can no longer do miracles for like a week or a month or something. So just very careful DM control.
Yeah. And then, as I said before, if you have an aura because you're chanting something, for example, I think most chants had auras. And its diameter in feet. Like the diameter of the aura is the level times your willpower. So the more you level up and the more willpower you gain, the bigger your aura is going to be. I think you probably need another thing that is affected by willpower, except for the size of the aura. I felt like that was a little bit too little.
A what?
And
I'm sorry.
I think that you need something else in your cleric that is affected by willpower that is not just the size of the aura, right?
See,
I
having
completely
more
agree.
abilities, like you could give bonus spells as bonus blessings, but it'd have to be pretty limited. It'd have to be like +1 blessing. There's too few blessings, I guess, is the problem.
Yeah.
So it would be like if you,
But, like,
yeah.
what's
you
the
start at
blessing
15
progression?
or something. Ooh, that's a good question.
You get one at level one blessing, one chant at level 1, and then as you level up, do you get additional ones?
Okay,
Wait,
maybe.
it's in the. I think it's in the class rebuild. Is it?
Yeah. Class rebuild cleric. Here we go. Blessings are innate. Starting powers. Each deity has a unique first level power that clerics begin play with, as well as one chant and one blessing of their choice. Every time a cleric levels up, they may choose another power from the list available.
Yeah, so you had one per level.
One per level.
Yeah.
That seems a little small, actually, because if you're third level, you only have 3 powers.
That's how we played it, though.
Oof.
I mean, you get one. You start with one chosen, one chant, one blessing, right?
That's true.
And
You
then
start with
next
3.
level you get 1, so you have 4 at level
What's
2.
the chosen? What does that mean?
So, like, Martha's chosen power is Cure Light Wounds, and Malchus's chosen power is Cloud Judgment.
Where is Cure Light Wounds? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Here's
you level 1, you'd have Cure Light Wounds, you have Battle Him, and you have Bless or something like that.
I think that's what I
you
had.
level up and you get Turn Undead, and then you level up and you get a second level.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could get a second, or if
That
you
seems
want,
reasonable.
you could
And
grab
then,
a
like,
first.
by the time.
So in this way, clerics have fewer powers, but they can call them at will and do them whenever they want. And then on top of that, they have all their cool combat class stuff.
Yeah. I guess this all seems cool. It's just, what is the cleric doing in battle? You've got all these cool abilities.
Tell us
and then
about
you're
the
still
cool combat class
You're
stuff,
still
Neal.
just I mean, you've got the aura, but then, like, on your round, you're just bopping people on the head.
Well, I mean, that's sort of
Or I
what
guess
clerics do
Cure
these
Light
days,
Wounds,
is
right?
they walk around and they
Yeah.
bop people on heads, and every now and then they cast a spell. So
I like the idea of having at-will combat blessings or whatever, like rolling to hit to, like, give a bonus. Like, you, like, roll to target your guidance, and, like, you bring down your guidance, and if you succeed on your d20 roll, then your ally gets a d4 on their hit or something like that. Or if you succeed on your d20 roll, an ally is healed for d4 HP.
My only
something.
concern with that is, like, it can work, but, like, in 5e, right, you have similar cases this with, like, there's, like, guided bolt or whatever, where you roll an attack roll essentially to hit a target with your spell. It starts to feel like everything is kind of the same concept, right? Like, you have the ranger who shoots a longbow and modifies with dex, and you have the wizard who shoots a firebolt and modifies with int, but they're both just rolling d20 plus their proficiency bonus plus their intelligence, and it's
right.
Things can feel very samey sometimes when you use the same rolling mechanic for everything. Although, like, it could be fine with like having some sort of spell casting DC, which you're using to target buffs. That might feel different enough that it's not a problem.
I mean, I think the alternative is you just walk around doing nothing. You don't control
That's
any
true.
dice, or you just roll your shitty club attacks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's why I think it either you
Or,
have
like-
to, like, give combat spells, or you improve them in combat, where you're like, we're gonna make them half a fighter with special abilities. You know?
Or, like, have like maybe like blocking type attacks, or, like, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part I struggle with, because I think the abilities are really cool. I don't mind the smaller spell list either, you know. I think some of them are. I think the balancing obviously is an issue, because at higher levels you get stuff like neutralize poison or create water, right? Which isn't, you know, it does knock your socks off at some point. But, like, you know, stuff like Stay Death or Martyr are, like, really cool things, and then you don't need 50 different spells in your repertoire. But then what are you doing in combat except for walking around and, like, once bonk someone on the head?
Yeah.
Yep. There's
So
some
if
cool
you-
shit in
if you-
here. Sorry.
If you're already struggling with like rogues, and backstab mechanics, and you think, oh, rogues don't really do much in combat, like you're going to be in the same situation with a cleric if you play a cleric like this as well.
Yep. But I do heavily subscribe to the not every character is supposed to be an excellent combat character. And that doesn't always work out because D&D has a fuck lot of combat in it. So on some level, everyone needs to be. But I do like the concept of fighters being the best combat characters. And
Yeah. And I
so forth
absolutely,
and so on.
I do too. I'm just a little bit on the other side of the line where I'm saying, so I think that a cleric is described in 2e D&D, and that's how I feel about the cleric, which is where my idea comes from, as a holy warrior, and not as someone like the thief whose speciality is going into tombs and looting them. So as per our previous discussion, we talked about the difference between priest and cleric, right? If the combat abilities are what make a cleric great, then in my 2e games, I want the cleric to be capable in combat, right? I don't say every class needs to be like decent, and I don't say they need to be as good as a warrior, not at all. But if you're saying a thief, for example, or a rogue is a non-combat utility class, which you can subscribe to if you want to, fine. But then still the cleric is still a combat class, and they should be better than a rogue in combat, even if they already have spells. You could be on.
I don't know that everyone
that
needs to
side
be
as well.
as capable in combat or capable in combat. You just, from a gameplay standpoint, you need something to do that's entertaining. Right? Like it's fine if clerics and rogues aren't as useful in combat as a fighter, but the player needs to be able to do something for these hour-long combat encounters that makes you feel engaged and entertained.
The fighters getting additional attacks per round is almost as important as them getting way better chances to hit, because that's something that sets them apart mechanically in a way that feels different than just having a bigger number than the other guy.
Yeah. And then mechanically bound, I don't know. Hobo got pretty boring for me by the end. I mean, I was engaged to see where the story progressed, but mechanically in combat, I couldn't do anything. And part of that was the way our characters were geared. In fact, most of that was the way our characters were geared.
That's AD&D in general, right?
Yeah.
It's all about the magic gear.
And there comes a time where every party is like, okay, we've got these best items. We could distribute them evenly so we're all equal, or we could power stack one person, and then everyone always power stacks the one person, and that one person does everything, and everyone else is kind of bored a little bit. That's inevitably how the party goes, because it's just so much more efficient to make one person the ultimate killing machine, but it's also not as much fun to play that. But the power gamers in us don't allow us to not do that. I don't know. That's how I feel about it. Happens over and over again. I would be willing to revisit. I think that this cleric class might work better in a solo campaign or a solo session or something.
I don't know about that. It looks like a support class.
Especially with the
Or I guess
aura.
It could
You'll
be
have to have NPCs with them,
a
right?
solo campaign with henchmen or something. Or higher
Sure,
levels
but
cleric.
maybe don't be a cleric of Martha, be your cleric of, one of these other deities, in which case you don't necessarily need to be so supporty, right? Because cleric of Astaire, you can do command at will, and that's pretty useful. What other things do you get? Holy Might is pretty bomb. You can, chant and buff yourself as you go into combat. I guess it is a pretty supporty thing. Damn it. Maybe it's not. I'm looking at all the Astaire abilities, and I'm...
Well, I mean, you could be, like you said, Holy Might on yourself. So it decreases your movement speed while you're chanting, but you get +1 to damage and more crits.
I mean,
But
the
I
list may
had
need
that.
some
I had all
revisions.
that, right? I had.
It's
what is it?
allies within the aura. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I had
That's a level
buffs on
one
myself
ability?
as well. So,
Dang.
but if you only hit once per fight, even if you buff yourself,
Battle Hymn and Holy Might almost seem too similar.
yeah, I think we had a discussion about that before.
I tried to
that
come
was-
up with a bunch of different combat abilities that you could take, and so it wasn't just here's the one combat thing, and it gets a little hard to make them all useful and good without seeming
almost feel
too
like-
similar.
Yeah. Maybe get rid of the damage bonus on Battle Hymn. Because Battle Hymn is probably better than Holy Might.
All allies within the cleric's aura gain +1 to hit and damage with melee weapons, +1 bonus to AC. So that's just like a flat, everyone is a better fighter. Holy Might is damage to bonus, better crit range, advantage on strength and con checks. Yeah. So I think Battle Hymn is like, here's your good combat ability, and Holy Might is like, here's your good strength ability, or here's your like improved physical prowess, which there's a lot of overlap in, but there's also some restriction, like not everyone can take Battle Hymn. I'm sorry, it's the other way around. Not everyone can take Holy Might.
Well, looks like Nadinus and Tempos can't take either.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a stare, you can choose between Battle Hymn and Holy Might. I have a feeling Battle Hymn is mechanically better. But you'd have to do the math on crit range increase.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're in a situation where people are wrestling each other, then the advantage on strength and con checks could be useful.
Mm-hmm.
The crit range is tough. It doesn't... Yeah. I think there was a third one as well.
Where's the level 2 Aura of Protection?
Yeah, but that didn't. I could have chosen that, but that didn't feel particularly strong. If you can only have one channeled ability on, then I think you would take.
It seems like there's too much overlap. It's weird that Battle Hymn and Aura of Protection both give AC bonus, and it's weird that Battle Hymn and Holy Might both give +1 to damage. Like, it seems like they should be 3 distinct auras.
Let's see.
Right, one that's protection, maybe one that increases your chance to hit, and one that increases your damage.
Or protection is AC saves, incoming damage.
Yeah.
Battle Hymn is just all your basic attacks.
Hit damage.
Yeah.
AC. Maybe Holy Might just needs a buff. And you can also stack these in theory, right? If you have multiple clerics, is that the idea?
Yep.
Like if you have Battle Hymn and Holy Might going, you get +1 to hit, +2 to damage, +1 to AC and crit range.
Yeah, but also only if you're a follower of the god.
Oh,
like
that's
some things are follower exclusive, and try doing that when your sister's worshipping Varasi and your brother's on a power trip powered by tempos, you know. So it's like, that's a nice group. If nobody wants to follow your god, you're like, oh, I'm buffing myself, guys. Hello.
Yeah.
We came around a little bit, at least. We were on our way to a better Martha combination, but it's kind of tough if you want to buff people, but people don't want to believe in your god, and you're like, well, I guess. I mean,
not. That's a role-playing thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is.
For a reason.
But when your party chooses to like pick a role-playing approach that, you know, sort of neutralizes one of the 4-player characters, it's kind of shitty. A little bit. I mean, it was interesting to play through, and it worked out in the end-ish, but there were moments.
I don't know that clerics need a buff to combat. Like, because if you've got a cleric with a Battle Hymn going, they're at low levels, they're probably better at combat than a fighter. And then
not if your fighter has 18 strength, right? Like, it depends.
Yeah, that's the nature of the game. I mean, if you're a fighter with 14 strength next to your ally with 18 strength, it's going to feel even worse, right?
Strength just scales so exponentially.
Yeah, but it doesn't scale with level. So like a level 1 fighter with 18 strength is crazy good. A level 9 fighter with 18 strength, or I guess the better comparison is like a level 1 fighter with 18 strength is comparable power to like a level 3 fighter with 16 strength.
It might even be more dramatic than that, depending on how you roll on the exceptional strength. Like you can get some crazy numbers in there.
Oh, and there's also Blessed Reflexes, but that's limited to Tempos and Nadinus, which is a bonus to hit with missile weapons, bonus to initiative, and advantage on dex checks or saves. So that's like the opposite of, or the companion to Holy Might. So there are 3 first level chants and 1 second level chant. Sorry.
Problem with that chant is that if you have an aura and the aura is too small, then you have your people with ranged weapons are usually hanging back, and you'll have trouble being actually in the combat as cleric. Then you might need to bow yourself or something, right?
Well, but if you're like
work.
If you're level 5 with like 15 willpower, you can be like 60 feet in front of, or no, even more, right? 75 feet in front of your ranged line, and still they're still affected by your aura.
And also,
so in this case,
go ahead.
So does ally in this case only refer to followers? Is that defined somewhere?
Yeah. So there are some spells, if they have the symbolic tag. Clerical powers tagged with symbolic affect creatures based on their relationship with the deity. People who are adorned with symbols of the cleric's deity and consider themselves followers of that deity are considered allies, while those who are in direct confrontation with these followers are considered enemies for the wording of the spell. That said, the recipient doesn't need to be an enemy or an ally of the cleric specifically.
Yeah, so you could accidentally buff your enemies because they follow the same god as you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it also seems like you don't need to buy in whole hog. You don't need to be like a devout follower of Martha. This was mostly just a case of your fellow players being stubborn, right?
Yeah.
They very well could have just been like, oh yeah, I'm into Tempos and Martha, and I've got this spare holy symbol of Martha. Or even just like they let you paint Martha's bosom on their forehead going into battle. And
it's a little strong, don't you think, Ryan? I mean, like that's.
There you go.
Yep. And like,
I think if you have a boob tattoo, you're pretty committed to someone, you know. But
well, on the forehead, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It makes motorboating a whole new experience.
Oh my god.
The looks of disgust I just got, chat. Oh, you should have seen them.
what?
Well, I mean, you have.
Sean's shaking of the head and looking down like, oh, I'm judging you, Neal. I appreciated that, Sean.
I mean, if you
Germans, however, are a little more body positive.
That is true. We like boobs over here. We're not offended.
Potatoes for everyone.
Yes, that's true. If you if you have to wear the symbol somewhere on yourself, right? That is quite the. I think that does proclaim some sort of allegiance to a god or goddess, because you might believe in all the gods, right? You might be like, oh my god, by Valthara, I'm gonna get that bitch at the fish market that, you know, sold me the rotten fish or something. But you're not gonna be like, I'm gonna paint her symbol on my forehead and then gonna march into battle, right?
But like if you've got a cleric of Valthara and they're leading you into battle, you might let them draw a V with blood on your shield before you guys go into battle.
Honestly, a lot of
you get
people,
the
a lot of
benefits.
warriors that probably oh god, what's War God's name again?
Bellum.
Bellum. A lot of just ordinary soldiers probably paint Bellum symbology on themselves before they go into battle, because that's how you get Bellum to favor you, and then you don't die.
And let me tell you, you would think that's an intuitive thing to do, but I got consistently up until I think level 6, one other person in my party who was willing to follow Martha, who's the goddess of life, which is the broadest spectrum possible, you know, except for maybe death. So you might run into trouble. I did. I certainly did.
That's how stubborn your party is.
Did not work out. Very stubborn. Very lovely people, but very stubborn people.
That also seems fine. I mean, like your character's feeling plenty buff with the blessings just on themselves.
Yeah, blessings and a lean beef patty. It's pretty good. 16 or 17 strength on a cleric is good. It's well fun. 16 strength. Yeah, let's go.
Yep.
No, I really like that, and I think it will be great if you revisited the rework cleric at some point. You know, and reworked it a little bit more, maybe. But
I am conceptually down. It would be nice to give this a second pass after it's been a couple years and reapproach it with some new ideas and, you know, flesh it out a little bit more and adjust things a little bit here and there. I'd be down. This will be that Detective Sarah campaign. We'll just rework it all.
oh wow, I'm invited to this. I should have said something. Okay, I'm glad, because this folder with notes, I have some suggestions. So whenever you want to hear them, let me know. I'm going to get out that folder I just put out. You know. And if you think that's my only note folder, by the way, you are gravely mistaken. I have 3 of them.
This week on Critical Feedback, it's just Faye telling me how to rework the cleric class.
Well, I'm just making polite suggestions, and we're having a talk. I'm telling you, then I'm telling you you're wrong, and then, you know.
Yeah. I'm not telling you what to write down. I'm just telling you how to hold the pen and what directions to move it in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's what friends are for.
No, I mean, in Neal's defense, he's been very open throughout doing the rework together. He's been very open to me, complaining and then making slight adjustments that were still in his favor. Not exactly what I wanted, but at least listening and changing stuff a little bit. So it was a good experience. And I would if someone you would say, would you play the rework cleric again? Now after 2 years of intense therapy and self-reflection, I think I would be down for that. Because the role playing as a cleric that's reworked, like the feel of it was nice, like the difference having that difference between wizardry and clerical abilities. That was really cool. I really enjoyed that. I thought that was really cool.
Thank you.
Oh. You're welcome. I can be nice sometimes, it happens occasionally.
I believe it. Despite all the shit that I give you for being a monster. Some sort of, can't remember the Scrubs quote, but squishy center, hard chocolatey exterior, squishy center, right? It's not chocolate covered bastards.
I'm not a scrub expert.
What?
I only know this is what you get, Carla. This is what you get if you mess with the warrior. Where like Turk beats her in they do the cute hand wrestling stuff as couples, and JD lets his girlfriend beat him and he's like, oh, you won. And then Turk and Carla and Turk just smashes her hand on the fucking table and goes like, this is what you get, Carla. You mess with the warrior. And I was like, man, Turk, this is so cool. I love that. It's the only Scrubs quote I'll ever remember. Speaks to my inner berserker.
Trying to find it now.
Resurrected Vorasi Cleric campaign win. Thank you, Fartbox09. I appreciate your enthusiasm.
What's this? Sarah coming back as a cleric of Vorasi?
Well, there has been speculation that since the cult that murdered her family, or the dude, like whatever, has been a follower group of Vorasi, that when Sarah was stabbed and then healed back up, that she's now officially a cleric of Vorasi, And it might be that some people just don't have proper listening skills. Or it might be that it's actual law, but we will never find out because we don't discuss law outside of campaigns. So, yeah. She might be, she might not be. Who knows? If the queen ever dies in her sleep after 1 minute, then you know which one it is. But otherwise, no idea.
Here it is. No one's pure evil. I mean, yeah, sure, some people have a hard outer shell, but inside, everyone has a creamy center. That's the quote that I'm looking for.
You said outside chocolate, inside squishy. That didn't sound anything.
I wasn't remembering. They were talking about, because then later it's people are chocolate-covered bastards with bastard filling.
Right.
It's been a while. I do love me some Scrubs.
A delicious outer chocolate shell with a gooey, creamy center. Sorry, what are we talking about again?
Easter eggs. Cadbury cream eggs, I think. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it has been about 2 hours. We can bring this in for Elaine unless someone else has anything else they want to bring up or discuss. Any further revisions?
If you would like some wonderful Frozen Frontier merch, you should absolutely check out Neal's lovely Real Goblins shop.
Is it with that command? Aha!
Yes, it is. Because I'm a big fan of the Furfur shirt, and I do own the Nimrod shirt myself, which says "Be bold."
My baby has the Nimrod shirt.
Does it fit by
the
now?
Nimrod shirt's very good.
I put it on start. It probably fits a little better even now.
Yeah, because
Oh, you should take a picture. I want to see it at some
I
point.
sent Neal a picture. I don't know where.
Yeah.
yeah, I just
think that was-
when you send me pictures of your child, I don't share them with
post them
other
on the
people.
internet?
Yeah, I don't post them on the internet or share them with
Yeah.
anyone. I
They
feel like
should
that's
go. We could go in the Super Cool Kids Club chat. But,
Yeah. Do that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna share it. I promise. I just want to see a cute Baba in a cute shirt. That's all.
Baba is you. Cool.
Yeah. So you should definitely check that out.
Yeah. Other merch too.
Yeah.
Dicing with Death.
Uh-huh.
Also,
And-
since I sometimes do get the questions, the Shield Mails channel is still a thing on Discord. We've been persisting for a few years now. If you are a girl, a woman, and you want to join the Shield Mails channel on Discord or Neal's Discord, just shoot me a message. I'm Fayama on Discord, and I will try to get back to you as quickly as possible. I'm currently working a lot, so it might take a day or two, but I won't forget about you, and I'll get back to you.
Did we stop
and,
allowing grandmothers
yeah.
in?
No,
'Cause this-
grandmothers are still a go.
Okay.
Grandmothers are women.
Well, but it used to be
Yes.
if you're a girl,
Okay.
a woman, or a
Woman, a
grandmother.
grandmother.
That was the phrase, and the grandmother got
Yeah,
dropped.
I think there's
so.
a whole yes. We very much love grandmothers in
Okay.
that channel. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh.
Sweet.
They were starting to get a little too secure in themselves, so you had to drop them from it just to make sure that they understood that their days were numbered.
Mhm. They just don't give a shit. Is the problem with the grandmothers? Is that they will tell you whatever they're thinking, and so they got a little bossy, a little toxic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I sometimes do get the question if trans women are welcome too, and yes, they are. We do welcome all women, and we do have quite a few people in there. So just shoot me a message and come hang out a little bit.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, then we're done with chit chat. What are we doing? The other thing.
Are we off until October?
Who knows, dude? I feel like I can smell the pumpkin spice
remember
latte.
in August when we were thinking like, oh man, it's gonna be until September before we play again.
Yeah. This is always a weird time of year, but it usually doesn't roll this deep into September.
You say that every time of year.
No.
Yeah, that is true. No,
Summer,
right.
December
I don't
and
know.
August.
summer and winter.
December and August are the tough months.
But what did I?
Were we trying? We need like a group calendar or something where we can mark our availability.
Usually it's pretty
I mean,
fine.
So
I
you're
haven't
busy on the-
cancelled a single session so far. I just wanted to say.
So
Not
you
a
have
single
no
one.
personal life, is what
They
I'm
I
have
hearing.
haven't
no
canceled more.
You guys
than
are my
one session
personal
so
life.
far.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, God, your personal life sucks.
Well, is that on me or on you then? Now I don't know, Neal. I don't know. That's no. But if we really want to play all five of us like that, we should have we might have just had to drop someone for one session and just kept going. But
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just our circumstances kind of mandated that we have the group ready because of where the last one left off, and now
Right.
I don't know.
Now we're kinda-
I don't know. I would have been fine you guys going on without me, but I think mechanically the next encounter might be tough without
Yeah,
a
you-
full strength
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
yeah, especially since you're the strongest fighter on the group. So
So I'm out on the 26th, but that's, I think, my only non-availability in the near future.
The third.
What was the problem with the 19th again?
I don't remember. I think Greg might be out of town or something, but I don't remember what his calendar was like. We always talk about it with words, and then there's never a written record for us to go back and sort out.
But wasn't today the day Greg couldn't make it? I don't think he said he can't make it. I don't think he said he can't make it 2 weeks in a row. So it's either on Nick or we never talked about this, and it was actually the 19th of or whatever around that time in August.
I don't actually see any issues with the 19th. Just browsing through the chat really fast. Maybe we'll be able to do the 19th. I
I'll
think.
put lag on the calendar with a question mark next to it, and when Greg
Sure.
is around, we'll check with him, and we'll check with Nick if he deems himself, low enough to join our ranks again.
Now that he's
these roles.
now that he's one of the next up and coming streamers.
Yeah. Now that
The
he's got
hottest
like,
up and coming streamers.
he's made a couple of friends higher up in the social tier, so now he doesn't come around anymore.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he has a better personal life than I do. So I get to stick around with you guys, and he gets.
I don't
to
even know if that one's
I don't
true.
think I don't think Twitch friends count as a personal life.
Yeah.
No, I'm very pleased with the people I surround myself with. I'm very happy with this group, so I don't need anything else.
And then after Greg's campaign is over, someone else is going to DM.
Yeah. I think we're only like
it's
halfway
crazy.
through Greg's, right? What is this, session 5?
I just hear a lot of crickets in the background. No one's excited
Yeah,
about doing this.
I've got ideas, but I don't have time to plan much.
Maybe Nick will grace us with his DMing skills.
Oh yeah, if he's gonna talk all this talk about how he's this great D&D streamer, he better
It's about time for him to step up.
I mean, Ryan, I was part of a Demon's Run game where suddenly you popped up as a DM and not Neal, and entirely winged that thing, and it was an absolute blast to play. So, I do trust in your improvisation skills. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, there were even octopods.
Yeah, I love octopods. They're my favorite thing to be drowned by.
I did enjoy the Demon's Run, the dwarf special with Ryan leading it on a.
After that Dicing with Death character, though.
Yeah,
that was the biggest.
I had forgotten
loss.
how salty I was about that. Neal nerfing the hell out of protection spells on the fly.
I should have brought it up. I'm sorry, Ryan. That was the biggest loss we had.
You've got protection from evil.
Sorry,
My evil creatures
loss.
are going to lurk just 1 inch hovering above your skin and prevent you from moving.
Ryan hyped up the group by posting Diggy Diggy Hole like 15 minutes before we went live, and I appreciated that.
But the dwarfs did prevail.
Mm-hmm.
I think Redbeard was the hero of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I jumped on one of those Gorgon things and then died immediately after.
I survived, I think, with every character in there. I had Frida the Red, was a dwarf fighter. I finally got to play a 2E fighter. I love those. She survived quite well, actually. And of course, Darth, also survived by clinging to Van Helsing when we were swarmed by demons. So that was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. I got to be the hero of that fight with the epic kamikaze pancake maneuver.
I really wanted to pancake with you, but I was only on 2 HP, and I was really worried I was going to climb that cliff and then fall down and kill Darth with falling.
Yeah, you can't kill Darth.
It would have been so anticlimactic. I couldn't. So I was like, nah.
I don't even remember that fighter's name.
That was a fun.
Lucille? Yeah, you had Lucille and Greg had Bella, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was that way around.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. Yeah.
Didn't you name Bella after that
Lucille
one?
Ball was what they're both named after.
Oh, I thought it was Belle. Didn't you name them after Belle Star or something?
No.
Who's Belle
Lucille
Star?
Ball.
She's a fairly infamous American outlaw.
No. There was Lucille Bell, and then Belle became Bella.
Okay.
Lucille Ball.
Ball? Okay, then Ball became Belle because I didn't know her name properly, and then Belle became Bella.
You've named worse NPCs, okay? I think that's legit. Yeah, that's legit.
What? My NPCs always have great names, whatever's sitting
Of
on my
course
desk
they
at the
do.
moment.
Right.
Ah, yes, the infamous Seltzer's Cave, named after the seltzer water on my desk.
Oh my god.
I had so
Who was
much
the
fun with
trail
that
mix?
episode.
Oh, the Cadia trail mix. Right? That was that
yes.
one.
Oh,
Cadia trail mix.
that was Cadia.
Cadia. Yeah, it is.
Cadia.
Whatever.
Oh gosh.
Who knows how you pronounce that trail mix, right? I don't think there's an instruction on how to.
Mhm.
Oh boy. Well, anyways, yeah.
All right, yeah, let's get out of here. Let's let people
Let's
get on
get
with
the
their
heck
days.
out of there. Yes. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out.
All right. See you next week, or in 2 weeks, or never.
Yeah.
See you
Or in
sometime.
3 years. 3 years for the rework cleric. Stay tuned.
All right.